for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Fan Morning Show. What did I say a moment ago, James? You can't lose for trying sometimes in the NBA. The Pacers last night, I think, had Mark Dykton on speed dial, ready to call him up to see if they needed to fill a roster out. They played without what you could essentially say are their five best players that are healthy. Well, not healthy, apparently, but the five best that are mostly available to them right now. And they go and beat the New Jersey, or I want to say that forever, the Brooklyn Nets again. They just do. And I don't know how it happened. They were behind double digits for most of the game. They come back. They're in a fight. They have turnovers late. They get a Cam Jones 3 to turn things around at the very end, and they come out with a 5-point win. You can't lose for trying.
Beggars can't be choosers, Jeff. You wanted competition. You wanted people to be out there giving it their all. That is the Pacers' way. And how about that dunk from Quentin Jackson? Woo! That was pretty sweet.
Posterized. So who did he posterize? I can't even remember the guy's name.
I don't know. They weren't playing many stars either on the other side. I'll say that.
Good morning, Kevin Bowen. What did you think of the certainly great effort for the Pacers that played last night? I have no problem with that. As you know, to me, if you start the game, you play, and that's what they did. But what do you do if you're the Pacers and you're sitting Pascal Siakam and Nembhard and Nesmith and T.J. McConnell and Zubats, and you still go out and win on the road anyway?
Oh, boy. I just – I'll repeat what I said yesterday. It's such an awkward time to be a Pacer fan. Yeah, let's celebrate Cam Jones' rookie moment. He tried to tank previously before hitting the three there.
Two turnovers right before that.
He did a very nice job. I think a lot of Pacers fans were clapping, and then he makes the three. Is that the most, oh, no, made – last-minute shot to take the lead the Pacers have had in franchise history?
It might be.
Those two wins have moved the Pacers 2 spots lower in the lottery standings. This is the reality of what these next 2 months are going to be all about. And again, that one was a double whammy because the Nets are right there with you in the lottery standings. But I don't know what else you can do than what the Pacers did last night. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, they sat all the guys. They tried to tank. They didn't play anybody. Are you going to tell Cam Jones to miss the three?
No, you just bring him to the bench and you find somebody else. You call me out of the crowd.
They didn't play Quentin Jackson.
He just made
the guys
2
on their
turnovers.
team, Quentin Jackson is probably their best guard who played last night.
Right now at the moment, yeah.
And they didn't play him late.
Yeah.
They played Cam Jones, who's a turnover machine, until all of a sudden there's 2 on the shot clock and he hits a step back. It's just...
Hey, man, he had his rookie moment. Stop hating, Kevin.
Just incredible that this is what we're about to witness for the next 2 months.
We had the slogan, suck for luck. Do we have a slogan for this year's Pacers team? Do we even have an idea of who we'd want to go get of the 3 or 4 that are going to be at the top of the draft?
Well, I had the Debanza to Indiana hashtag,
That's not bad.
But I don't know if I have a good one for Darren Peterson, although he might be the best talent in the draft.
And was he sitting last night, too?
Hey, he's preparing for the NBA.
He gets a lot of stomach bugs and sore ankles, apparently. But the Pacers win last night. I watched almost all of the Butler game, and they didn't win against UConn, but I thought they gave everything they had last night, Kevin. I thought they played respectably against UConn at Hinkle last night. What'd you think?
Yeah, well, first thoughts is Finley Bizjack. Just hope that injury is not what it looked
wrist.
to be. It's incredible the amount of injuries that they are having, and
it's Pacers-esque
to that specific position. It honestly reminded me more of the Fever, James, because it's all happening to the point guards.
Yeah. Good point.
Remember how the Fever had all the point guard injuries? That's what I thought of last night when Finley went down. They're already playing.
No Jalen Jackson.
Olabor, I believe is how you say his name, the Canadian kid. They're playing him on the ball. You don't want to play him on the ball for 40 minutes, but they have to. And I don't know. I know Brian Cardinal's kid is redshirting. I'm like, are they going to have to all of a sudden take off his redshirt here? Remember, they have the youngest McCaffrey on the team. He had this weird, wisdom teeth situation earlier in the season. He hasn't played in weeks, months at this point. So I believe when Bizjack got hurt last night, they were down to 8 scholarship guys.
Boy.
And, they were, to your point, Jeff, I mean, it was valiant. I mean, when they cut it to 2, you thought,
64-62, right?
is this going to be some Hinkle magic? But UConn, boy, that was a haymaker. And that solo ball, and shout out to Braylon Mullins. I can imagine that was one he circled on the calendar in the first half last night. He was the best player on the floor. So a lot of Greenfield Central contingent in the building. He obviously had a nice game. I thought Butler's bigs actually played really, really well. And then in true Dan Hurley fashion, he had some comments post-game for Thad Matta on the floor, and he had some comments post-game as well. Mark Dykton, I think if we play that audio, we might have to go a little dump button-y.
Yeah, it was Rick Carlisle-esque after a win or a loss or something. So
Yeah, we'll hear that a little bit later on. But it said really nice things about Thad Matta. He likes him some Thad Matta.
He does, and Thad is still one of the more respected coaches in the country, so that doesn't surprise me. But real quick on Braylon, it's the shooting and the size that separates him. And when you saw that first half, I was thinking to myself, well, this dude is one and done. and it's kind of crazy. Again, you think about his journey as a player, he could have been at any prep school in the country, and he decided to stay at his high school and finish out the local career before it took off to what it is now, because he is a bona fide star in the making, and someone who, again, had plenty of opportunities to leave, and no one would have blamed him if he did leave Greenfield Central. But I think it's cool that he stayed there, and I think to an extent he probably embraced his childhood because he knew this sort of trajectory was coming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You look back and you say 3 or 4 years ago, do you think Braylon and his family and even coaches down at Greenfield Central, they're like, oh yeah, this kid's one and done. He's gonna go to one of the top programs in the country. He's gonna have a great year, and then he's gonna go out to the NBA.
Man, not to be funny, Jeff, but I saw him play last year for the first time, and within 2 minutes, I was like, that's an NBA player. So I would imagine 2 or 3 years ago, they probably were thinking this kid can go all the way. The size, the athleticism, the shooting, he checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, and I enjoyed his father was on with Rake yesterday. Greg Rakestraw was filling in for John. And for those unfamiliar, Josh Mullins played on that IUPUI tournament team back in the day.
His dad could play.
Yeah, and it was interesting listening. His dad is very honest about just in general the recruitment, a lot of the NBA talk. I thought he was really honest about, and his dad gave the line of, yeah, I'd love to see him play for 4 years, but if you're a top 15 pick or you're a lottery pick, how can you say no to that? And if you look at some of these mock drafts, they've got him in that range there.
Oh, yeah.
So he had a lot of big shots last night. And to James's point, I think he does more than just, whatever, standstill shooter there.
Yeah.
And again, when UConn needed to turn it up, they did. Solo ball, hit some huge shots.
What a great name for a basketball player, by the way.
I know.
It's like a movie name.
No.
The solo ball mean you're a ball hog. He had 10 assists last night. No,
solo
I take that back. He had 0 assists last night and 24 points. So there you go.
Is it solo on the birth certificate?
I don't know.
Solo
it's like
Bowen?
Who was the Alabama player? Like Kool-Aid?
Oh, yeah.
McKinstry?
Yeah, but that's not his real name. But I don't know. We'll have to check in on the solo ball birth certificate.
Just for
Solomon Armstead Ball.
All right.
Oh,
That
that's
makes
a
sense.
pretty good nickname from Solomon. I'll take that.
I was just looking at the NBA draftroom.com just to see where they're at right now. Braylon Mullins, they've got going 8 to the Grizzlies, guys. They say one of the best outside shooters in his class with a clear NBA-level jumper. Mullins can warp the defense even when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, is a great mover off the ball, and is always hunting his shot. Player comp, Buddy Hield, Kevin Huerter.
So does that mean the Clippers will take him with the Pacers pick?
Oh, Lord.
It's kind of night it was last night. Everything ties together, Kevin.
Can I ask for one thing from the tank teams? Because we discussed it for 3 hours yesterday. We couldn't come up with a good idea, right?
Okay.
I mean, we went back and forth. None of us, I feel like we disagreed with each other a lot on the best method of tanking. If you are openly resting your players to the level, and let's be honest, all these teams are doing it. The Nets did it last night, too.
Again, yeah.
I know the Nets don't have as maybe household names, but they were, Michael Porter Jr., Nick Claxton, Noah Clowney. They didn't play. I want cameras. I want a camera on Kevin Pritchard when Cam Jones hits the 3. Can Kevin Pritchard fake the emotion? Because the Pacers put the pick parameters there for a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
They want their pick 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
So can Kevin Pritchard show on camera the, yes, nice, good shot, Cam? Can he give us that? Or does he not? Or does he just can't hide your emotions?
Like when an actor loses the Golden Globe and you're like,
Right.
yes,
Exactly.
okay.
So I want all the
What a
GMs,
comp, Mark.
all the presidents around the league. We need to have the camera on them. When they're at Gamebridge, James, you know exactly where they sit. We all could watch it. Some of these road games, at times you aren't really sure where they're at there. So I'd love to see Chad Buchanan, great individual, try to hide the internal emotions there. And how awkward is this for Cam Jones?
I don't think it's
I don't
awkward
think it's
at all
awkward for him at all.
honestly.
He's trying to show people he can play in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. You go high five Kevin Pritchard in the locker room afterwards, and Kevin Pritchard's like, man, I was really hoping you would have missed that.
You tell him, hey, well, you drafted me for a reason. Why do you need Darren Peterson when I'm already here?
Here's your second-round pick.
Yeah.
Well, maybe pop in a couple of those turnovers before that, and you would have seen why there. So, yeah, that was ugly.
it's
That was
just
a pure
Debbie
three,
Downer.
too.
Remember my highlights, please. Don't. When I leave here one day, Kevin, please do not. Think about the turnover. Think about the good times, the made shots, the game winner. You see the reaction from Halliburton on the bench. That's real love right there.
By the way,
You need that morale.
Rex has one for us. Loser for boozer.
I gotta get a good Peterson one, but I don't know. Maybe it has to be a pun on not playing. We'll see.
Somebody says Peter. Shane says Peter out for Peterson. Have at it. Have at it, Mark.
Shout out to listeners. This is great.
They're the best. Keep them coming all day on the text line, 239-1070. We'll check down things for you coming up in just a minute. We'll talk some Colts today with Joel A. Erickson. We'll talk some basketball with Scott Agnes. We got a special award presentation at the end of the show, too, that we'll tell you about as the day goes on. It's all right here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings. It's indoor and outdoor concrete. That would be garages, basements, patios, porches, and sidewalks. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. The manufacturers upgrade the warranty from 15 years to lifetime. It's got to love that aspect to it. Our home, about 100 years old. Pretty curious exactly if they would have a style that kind of matched that, and they definitely did. The Jupiter style is what we went with. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Again, that is sidewalks, porches, patios, garages, basements. Patio is probably one of the areas they specialize in the most. I think we all enjoyed being outside, and I swear, I think it's on the horizon. I honestly might be on the horizon here in the next couple of days if we continue to get these temps to increase. And if you want to make some improvements there, contact GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com. Again, it's indoor and outdoor concrete. The best in the business, GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com.
Checkdown. Brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Let the adventure begin. Here's what we've got going today on a Thursday. Looking back last night to start with, the Pacers win without Pascal Siakam, without Andrew Nembhard, without Aaron Nesmith, without TJ McConnell. Still haven't seen Ivica Zubac. And it didn't matter. They're playing the Brooklyn Nets. They win at 115-110. Cam Jones hits a three late in the game, Kevin, right after he had back-to-back turnovers. Pacers couldn't lose if they wanted to last night.
No, Cam Jones tried to tank there for a while, but then hits, I guess the biggest shot of his young NBA career. Unbelievable. Now 2 wins, and all of a sudden they've dropped, I think it's like 5 percentage points in the lottery standings, and I can't believe these are the updates we're now giving, but these are the relevant updates with the Pacers here. I did
Tankathon, 7th pick.
I am fascinated to see what happens when they come back from the break. So All-Star break time. At Washington next Thursday, at Washington again on Friday. They can't play the rest excuse, right? When you're coming back from the All-Star break. So far, they've rested guys the second night of the back-to-backs. But next Thursday, you can't play that card. And Washington is where? Right there in the tank standings with you. So will they go jet lag on us? Will they say guys had a little too much fun partying during the All-Star?
I don't know if you can go that route, but
I mean, Siakam for sure, right? Rick will say something to the effect of, well, he played the All-Star game and he's tired. And
he's going to have visa issues coming back out of Canada or something.
Nembhard?
yeah,
Nesmith?
I'm not sure. We'll see.
A full week off, you're going to go, well, they're just not really totally there.
Lingering. That's my favorite word.
I think you just, put a couple feelers out there around the NBA to see what everybody else is doing and you copy them.
Mark, while we were talking there, I just did a simulated lottery again, and the Indiana Pacers were 4th in this one.
There you go.
By the way,
I'll take your luck then.
By the way, Sacramento, they are all in. They have lost 14 games in a row.
All I know about them is that they have Russell Westbrook, and he's just kind of getting more counting stats as he's over there.
Kevin Jarvis Walker had 23 points last night. Micah Potter, 19 and 12 rebounds. Ethan Thompson scored 15. And Taylor Peter, I thought, looked decent last night with 14 points.
I cannot do it, so I'll ask you guys. Name me 3 Nets that played in the game last night.
Cannot.
Oh, boy.
I watched the whole fourth quarter, and I can't tell you.
I can't name 3. I can't name 3.
I forgot they had drafted, remember Danny Wolf at Michigan last year? You remember him?
No.
I do remember him.
Big kind of point forward.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
He got a little run last night.
All I knew was Zaire Williams.
Yeah, he used to play at Stanford, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
Former Clipper.
Which Terrence Mann doesn't really
Former
fit,
Clipper,
right? I'm like,
former
what?
Hornet.
He's kind of like a veteran dude.
Yeah.
But literally, I could not believe
Yeah,
some
I'm
of the
looking at
names.
their box score right now, Kevin, and yeah.
Some of the names that Chris Denari was saying last time, like, that sounds like guys on our 3rd grade basketball team that Chris Denari coached back in the day.
Denari is very professional.
He had to do a lot of work for prep yesterday.
He always does.
I know, but like double. You got to learn who guys are. Actually, all right. So the Pacers go to the All-Star break now with a record of 15-40, with the 115-110 victory over the Nets last night. So a couple of days off for them. College basketball over at Hinkle Fieldhouse. UConn beats Butler 80-70. Braylon Mullins returns. He has 15 points and 5 rebounds in front of a lot of friends and family over at Hinkle. There, the former Mr. Indiana basketball doing his thing. Solo ball, though, 24 points. He was terrific last night. I thought Drayton Jones played pretty well at times last night.
I thought Troy as well. I thought both Butler's bigs. That's probably the best I've seen them play all year long. And they needed it because Ajayi and Bizjack were held in check. And again, best of Finley Bizjack. Didn't look good at all.
Left
end of the
wrist,
game.
is that what it looked like?
Braced the fall. I believe he has had a wrist issue before as well to that wrist. So, just honestly probably sums up the Butler season.
Yeah, Butler's struggling a little bit. They will try again at Hinkle on Sunday. That'll be a 6 p.m. tip. They'll be hosting Seton Hall there. Coming up this weekend, Purdue plays at Iowa on Saturday. That'll be a 5 o'clock tip. Indiana on the road against who, James?
Illinois.
Number 8, Illinois. That one will be Sunday.
We gotta bounce back, okay? We can't. I mean, look, I already got smacked once by IU. I need a little get back.
I see Iowa lost last night to Maryland.
That's a nasty loss.
So the Indiana-Illinois game Sunday at 1. All right. We can also tell you Team USA's women's roster was announced yesterday. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are part of that, along with some of the other, let's face it, all-stars from the WNBA, including Paige Beckers. This is a stacked lineup. Paige Beckers, Kalia Copper, who was a stud. I don't know, do you say that about women's basketball players? She was terrific at the Olympics in France a couple summers ago. Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum is on there, Angel Reese, Jackie Young. So Caitlin Clark making her initial Team USA World debut.
Yeah, so this is the World Cup that's coming up later this year. A couple of players probably aren't on there. I don't think Brianna Stewart's playing, Asia Wilson, but this will be, I believe, her senior team debut.
Yeah, next month. So we will see Caitlin Clark playing
San Juan, Puerto Rico.
5-on-5 basketball next month. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen. I don't know what the TV element will be. I believe it's 5 games for them there. I am always curious. I see these lists with Team USA, and obviously Jeff reads off the list. I mean, it's a star-studded group. I'm always confused why Kelsey Mitchell is not on these lists. I mean, you talk to like the WNBA, players, and they've said it before. One of the toughest scorers to guard in the entire league. Yeah. She's a great collegiate player. I mean, honestly, Caitlin Clark broke a lot of her scoring records at Ohio State. So,
and I think she largely led the team to the semifinals of the WNBA playoffs last year.
Sure, yeah. I'm just kind of. I was curious about that. I guess.
I don't know. They're loaded at guard, though.
I know.
So
I mean, again,
it?
It's not like they're putting players on there that don't deserve to be.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like you saw like Jamal Murray made his first All-Star team this year, and you kind of scratch your head like he's been great for so long.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Western guards since he's entered the NBA, it's like, all right, are you putting him over Lillard, who was in Portland for a long time, and Russell Westbrook and Stephen Curry? So. She's a great player. I don't want to take anything away from her, but then you look at the other players and it's like, boy, might be a little different. But I can guarantee you this: if she gets that opportunity, she would crush it.
All right, the Olympics later on today. I'm very excited, and I think soon I will be breaking out the Team USA hockey sweater that I procured back in the day.
See that? You got another
one?
Looking
forward to that. No, I've got one from 2002 that I picked up in Salt Lake City that I wear every once in a while. They will play Latvia today. Heavy favorites in that game today, James. Okay. There were some great hockey games yesterday, too. Italy, who may be of the 12 teams, the 11th or 12th ranked team, they took Sweden to big third period. At one point, they had tied the game at 2-2, end up losing at 5-2, but they had pushed the Swedes just a little bit. So we've got that going on. A gold medal for the United States in speed skating yesterday. Jordan Stoltz wins gold in the 1,000 meters. And in the Super G.
That dude's a freak.
Yeah, he is.
That final lap, I was watching that yesterday. Oh, my word. And it sounds like he could be a very decorated Olympian by the end of the week. Like he could win, they said, 3 or 4 golds.
He looked impressive in that 1,000 meters. He won it, looked like easily in his heat anyway. Ryan Cochran-Siegel also won silver in the Super G for the United States yesterday. Did you watch any curling yesterday? They got the men's going on now?
Yeah, I did. We got the men and the women. So Corey is back. She won this morning. Caught some highlights this morning of that, so that was great to see. And shout out to Chloe Kim. I believe she has a chance for another gold coming up today. That hockey game at 3:10, so a little afternoon action if you'd like to watch that. USA and Latvia. Now walk me through USA Canada. I mean, that's the matchup, right? I mean, you're
at some point
you're more of our hockey guy, Jeff. And they've left some of the U.S. top goal scorers off the team. Did I read that correctly?
There's a few. I mean, but it's also like you were just talking about with the Women's World Cup. There's
sounds like that's the debate for the U.S. and then for Canada, they're goaltending. Some of the debate there.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, a lot of people are criticizing that the way that this tournament has been put together, there's 12 teams, 3 essentially divisions of 4 teams for these preliminary rounds. And it's possible, like the top 3 teams, you might only see 1 or 2 games where they're playing against one another, and it's going to be with everything on the line. So you got that going on. But the preliminary rounds,
and we got a good draw, right? We're in an easy group.
Yes, in a very easy group. They should, like I said, heavy favorites against Latvia later on today. That's what's happening at the Olympics. Daytona 500 qualifying took place last night. Kyle Busch wins the pole. He's looking for his first 500 win in his 21st try. They've got the twin races later on tonight. Still 2 spots up for grabs for qualifying there. Also, this sad stuff. I don't know if you guys saw this bus crash. This is the one thing, as somebody who's traveled most of my life with teams or been on teams and traveled, this is the one fear and thing that I always just hate because so much of it is travel, right? There was a bus crash affecting the Iowa Lakes baseball team in early in the morning yesterday in rural Iowa. Bus hit a ditch, overturned. One person passed away, 30 injured. 3 people had to be airlifted to a hospital in Des Moines. This always hits close to home, whether I know people on those teams or know that much about the teams. Travel, as you know, James, and you too, Kevin, is the constant in sports, and it's just the one thing that I dread more than anything. So shout out and prayers to those folks today. Anything else you guys wanted to throw in?
I think you covered it all. I know the Combine roster was announced yesterday. A lot of Indiana flavor. We can maybe go over a couple of highlights on that. About a week and a half away from the Combine here in Indianapolis. And I did see yesterday a report Purdue and Gonzaga will be part of the early college basketball season next year out. I want to say it was in Vegas was the announcement there. So Purdue is never shied away in the non-conference. And even with losing all the guys that they will lose, sounds like they'll have a marquee matchup out of the gate next season.
All right, quick timeout. We'll talk a little bit more about the night that was last night. And as Kevin said, we have Combine invites, and there are Indiana and Notre Dame folks littered all over that thing. We'll tell you about it as we roll through the morning here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
We Grow Hair Indy. They are the best in the business up on the Northwest side. That would be WeGrowHairIndy.com. The Pyramids building number 2. Before and after pictures and videos. You head to that website. I think you're going to see the results, and they speak for themselves. I think anything you look at, you're going to be very, very impressed by it. Now, there are obviously other questions you're going to have about the overall process, and I highly encourage you to reach out. Darren Andrews and his staff are tremendous. They are very educational, very caring. I really enjoyed, honestly, my visits there and chatting with Darren and his team up there. A free evaluation awaits, a private evaluation awaits, a virtual evaluation. I get that these are all things that might appease you from a comfortability standpoint, but know full well you're going to get great education. You're going to get great information, and that will allow you to make what is certainly a big decision. So it is We Grow Hair Indy, again, the Northwest side. That would be building number 2. Up there at the Pyramids, the gold standard for hair restoration. They happen to call the 317 home. It is We Grow Hair Indy.
Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark, is that a nod to James Van Der Beek? I'm
Yes,
guessing?
it is. Yeah.
Lost him to cancer yesterday. That bummed my wife out quite a bit. It was distressing to see that as well. So, a little tribute to him this morning. Yeah, a little tribute to him this morning. Kevin, I was on social media last night. I sent you something because I thought you'd appreciate that. We think of great legacy basketball programs in the United States of America, and I know things change all the time. That's the nature of sports. We've seen the dramatic changes in the last couple of years or whatever. But could you have imagined even 10 years ago going to a Syracuse Orange game at the Dome up there in Western New York and at tip-off seeing the place maybe 15% full? There was a video going around last night of the game just before tip, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the Boeheim years, and, even if you take out the national championship team, they still had, great teams around that. And honestly, part of me kind of longs for the old Big East. There's part of me that still would love to see, those teams back in the Big East. Syracuse is playing, who they play last night? Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, boy, nothing says ACC basketball like a Wednesday night game between Cal and Syracuse. I mean, like, what are we doing? Stanford's playing Boston College last night. It's like,
there's nothing there.
Notre Dame's at SMU earlier this week.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing there? So,
I feel like I have to get a map out most of the time to figure out, okay, these conferences don't really exist anymore.
Tell you what, Matt Taylor, he's doing that Indiana sports trivia. If he wanted to broaden it to the U.S. and he did some geography on conference realignment, he could stump some people.
He really could.
Trying to peg exactly where
Again,
they're at.
hilarious that Rutgers, East Coast, UCLA, USC.
Sure.
And that was one of the first dominoes to fall many
Same
years
conference.
ago.
Speaking of Rutgers, Big Ten, I did see Michigan survive last night. Northwestern had them down decent margin there, and that could have flipped the Big Ten up a little bit. I think that would have, again, Michigan came back to win. But right now you've got those 4 teams with 3 losses, Purdue being one of them in the Big Ten Conference, but Michigan still with just 1 loss so far. Purdue will get them next week inside of Mackey. So Purdue's week next week. They got, again, Iowa coming up on Saturday, but then next week they've got Michigan and Indiana inside of Mackey.
So that's what was going on outside of our region for basketball last night. A little bit more on the Pacers. If you're just joining us this morning on your way to work, thanks for tuning us in. As always, we appreciate that more than you can even imagine. Indiana Pacers last night sat Pascal Siakam. They were on the road to take on the Brooklyn Nets. They sat Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, Ivica Zubac. They were down double digits for most of the first half. Started to battle their way back and messed around and won a basketball game last night, James Boyd.
You should be very happy. You want them to go out there and win.
I'm fine. Once the game starts, I want the guys out there to win. I'm okay with that. It's, to me, the conversation now is what's the best way to tank? Like, at least the guys that the Pacers put out there played their butts off and tried to win last night. You can't get mad at them. It's what they do. That's why if you ever put tanking in the hands of the players, that won't work, because players go out there, they want to win. They want to put themselves on tape. They want to show out. They want to compete against the other team.
As I said, Cam Jones is looking at the roster saying, you ain't getting rid of me next year. I'll be here. Darren Peterson. Why do you need him when you got me?
It is kind of crazy. I was thinking about this watching the game last night. What should the Pacers do to try and tank the best way possible? Like, if you are in that camp, which, Mark, you did the poll yesterday, 90% of our audience wants to see the Pacers tank, or I don't know if want is the right word, but understands why they would want to try and do that to have the best odds at the top 4 pick. Wasn't last night, didn't they do that? Like, they sat the guys. Unlike the Knicks game, we've had 2 back-to-back wins that we've talked about here. The Knicks game, they played the guys, and they played the guys late. We've seen Utah, for example, not do that. Utah will play Markkanen, will play some of their guys, Jaren Jackson Jr., but then when the fourth quarter gets around, they say, no, you're going to pass out some Gatorade. The Pacers against the Knicks, they played their dudes. But last night, Jeff, you just read off the injury report. So I don't know what else you can do. I mean, hell, if you want to get technical, they sat Quentin Jackson late last night. If you would have told me, given the Pacers personnel last night, did Jarris Walker, was he taking big shots late in the game last night? No. I mean, Jarris Walker and Quentin Jackson are whatever. They're two best players, best guards. I don't even know how you describe it, given the makeup of the team they put out there last night. So I don't know what else you can do. The Knicks game is different. The Knicks game, they play their dudes. Last night, they didn't. You just have to live with the consequences. And Cam Jones looked like he was going to help you out there for a minute, and then he bangs home a three.
And then he texted Kevin Pritchard and said, take that.
Like I said before, there's your second-round draft pick right there.
Camera on Kevin Pritchard.
Are we talking enough, though, about Quentin Jackson's poster dunk? That thing was nasty last night.
He's a freak athlete. Honestly, when I see guys like him do that, it just reminds you of how athletic most of these guys are.
I kind of like Quentin Jackson. I don't know if he fits into like the rotation when everyone's healthy, but I'd like to see them keep him around.
I kind of think he's an NBA player. You know, and I don't say that, he's an NBA player. He just played in a game last night. But what I mean by that is, you know, he's viewed as like the two-way guy, kind of a G leaguer in-betweener.
You think he could be a rotational guy?
I didn't say that. I think he can be an NBA player, meaning he could be your 15th man on a full contract in the NBA.
Yeah, if you were going to trust him in like a 10-minute bench role, I think he's too volatile to trust him, frankly. Like let's compare him to Ben Shepherd. Ben Shepherd, for the most part, you know what you're going to get. Quentin Jackson's got a little lance in him. You know, there's just a little craziness, which again,
the highs are high.
Trust me. Look at James Boyd's dating history. Some of good crazy can be good crazy.
Boy, don't get me started here on this Thursday morning.
It can be bad crazy.
Mark sat up again. Got a little alert there all of a sudden.
Hey, they were all great women.
No, geez, that's the most politically correct thing you've ever said on the show.
Hey, gotta keep it politically.
You wouldn't date anybody
but me canceled here on the show.
You wouldn't date anybody but a great woman, right?
Jeez, Jeff. Gosh.
I'll leave it at
that. James, did we see late last night? I forget who maybe had the initial reporting, but the Colts potentially have a new defensive line coach.
I did see this. I believe he is the now former Arkansas running back coach, and this was from Matt Zenitz. He actually gets a lot of reports from CBS Sports. So he reported that Arkansas defensive line coach, Marion Hobby is going to be the new Colts defensive line coach. And Marion Hobby spent several years with Lou Anarumo in Cincinnati, so there's some rapport there.
Yeah, obviously the connection with Lou Anarumo makes sense. Hobby's background, plenty of NFL experience. He was, as James said, joined the Arkansas staff. Looked like he was going to be coaching Arkansas this year, and then now he's back in the NFL. But like you said, it was with Anarumo for several seasons. Before that, I believe Miami and Jacksonville, a couple of stops. So obviously you see this a lot. You saw it with Gus Bradley. Now you're seeing it with Lou. Guys you have the familiar background with, that's who you bring in. So Charlie Partridge, their previous D-line coach, left. He had a heavy college background. He left to go to Notre Dame to be their D-line coach. That has opened up, obviously, that position room. And, you know, this debate has happened a lot. To me, the Colts have had a lot of different defensive line coaches in the Chris Ballard era. They've had several defensive coordinators that have been different. To me, it's more personnel than anything. They've tried a bunch of different position coaches. I point it to personnel and the need for new personnel, particularly defensive end. So I think Coach Hobby should probably expect some of that.
You know, I would like to see. I've enjoyed the weekly updates that Tyrese Halliburton gives on his injured Achilles. Can we get anything like that from Daniel Jones? Just, this is how I'm progressing. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. Do we get anything like that, do you think, at all before camp next August?
Zero
Don't
chance.
think Daniel Jones is doing that.
I don't think Daniel Jones is logged into his Twitter for sure in a few
years. Has he ever had one?
I believe his Twitter, if you go to it right now, I want to say he's still in a Giants uniform. Had a couple teams since then. And then his Instagram, I believe he posted something at the end of the season when he got hurt. But for the most part, it's kind of like Tyler Warren, where they only post stuff where they get paid to post it, which I respect.
Daniel Jones is probably still on MySpace and Foursquare.
It's okay, though.
Still
he knows
checking
Tom.
in.
He knows Tom.
Yeah,
it's all good.
He's a lot closer to Fernando Mendoza on LinkedIn than he is Zaire Franklin on the podcast world.
Yeah. No, I was just curious. And as you guys were talking about that, that's one of the biggest stories in the offseason. How does he heal? How does he progress? When's he going to be ready to play? What's it going to look like when he does come back to play? All those kinds of things.
I do want to get to that, but just one more on the new D-line coach. James, I don't want to overread anything into it, but again, the history with Anarumo also means history with Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson is a free agent. He is also on the older side.
Yeah.
Chris Ballard says we need to get younger, we need to get faster. How do you view, I guess let's just leave it right there. How do you view defensive end this offseason? In what way will they try to improve it, assuming they will?
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm looking at a mock draft right now that I have to complete later today for The Athletic. And so I'm drafting. I figured I'm going to draft an edge rusher, and I'm pretty sure if I'm Chris Ballard, I'm probably draft one in the second round, which I just did last year. But, hey, you keep throwing darts at the board and hope one of them hits.
Don't leave the bat on your shoulders.
So I would draft one early, second or third round, and then I would have to add somebody in free agency. But to your point about getting younger and faster, you really can't do that too much in free agency if you want a proven commodity. So I personally wouldn't mind the quote-unquote risk of taking a guy like Trey Hendrickson, given his production over the years. I know he's coming off of core muscle injury, which isn't ideal. Older guy, like you said, Kevin. But he has done it at a high level at some point in his career. So I wouldn't mind taking a 1-year flyer on the guy to say, hey, come play with us and see if you can, reestablish yourself as one of the more better defensive ends in the league. Now, does he want a long-term deal? Probably. Will he get that? I'm not so sure. But I would definitely try to get it. I would try to get him here. And I get it. He's not younger or faster, but he's better. I mean, could you get any worse than what you had last year by signing Trey Hendrickson? Probably not.
I would think a diminished Trey Hendrickson would be better than what you had last year.
And that's my point. So
I'd put his numbers up against the Colts D-line. He probably outgains them quite handedly.
Exactly. So that's one where, again, we know what Chris Ballard said, but that can't be the only box or lens you look at upgrading your pass rush with. And I also took it as you have to get younger and faster on the back end as well with your secondary. Some of your cornerbacks, Kenny Moore the second, is he somebody that you keep around this offseason, and as well as linebackers as well.
Does Mooney Ward need to tell the Colts what he wants to do before the draft? Does that matter so much?
Yeah, let me slide one more in on James's point, but yes, to your answer there. Yeah, with Hendrickson, I am nervous about the age and the injuries. And if you look at the free agent edge rushers, Jalen Phillips, the guy we saw trade at the deadline, he went to Philly. I know he's a name out there. Adafa Owe is a guy that I like, was in Baltimore from a first-round pick, now at the Chargers. He got traded last year and was really productive for the Chargers late in the season. He's of intrigue to me. One thing to note, and Mark, I believe you said we'll have Dane Brugler on at the Combine.
Yeah, looking like the Wednesday of the Combine.
When Dane came out with his top 100 guys for this year's draft class, one thing that stood out to me is I want to say he had 8 edge rushers in the top 40. That is a very high number to me. 8 edge rushers in the first 40 names. Now, the unfortunate nature to that meeting the Colts would be the Colts pick at what? What is their pick, James? 47. So, obviously you would have to hope whatever one of those falls or you trade up. But it does sound like there's some good edge depth, I guess, to this draft class, which, again, I think is vital. And to your point, just because you swung last year doesn't mean that you keep the bat on your shoulders this year. You got to keep swinging. And so that's how I would view edge rush there. But it does look like a deeper pass rush class. Jeff, to your point, yeah. I mean, that's, I think, one of the Combine questions that I would have is Mooney. And I think Mooney understood that. He said that at the end of the season. Like, yeah, I need some time, but, I will definitely inform the Colts. And typically when you have these debates in the offseason, this is the time when you figure that out. You give the guy a month. And, franchise tag window opens on Tuesday. We're less than a month away from free agency. In the next few weeks, if he hasn't already, Javarius Ward does need to inform the Colts his plans for 2026.
Yeah, and again, you're doing it in the context of an improving AFC South, right? We saw what Jacksonville did this year. We see what Houston has done the last couple of years. Who knows what all the changes in Tennessee mean down the line, but you better keep up. And the Colts, first half of the season, they were it last year. Second half of the season, not so much. And the other teams just keep getting better as well. The Colts are going to have to go some to keep up with those teams. That's the context of the offseason right now.
Absolutely. And, boy, it'll be a very interesting offseason.
Well, we've got it covered for you, and we're going to talk to Joel A. Erickson of the Indy Star about that a little bit later on today, see what he's seeing and hearing and thinking about the Colts as they wade into. It's hard to believe, Kevin, we talked about it yesterday, but the Combine is almost here. I mean, we're sitting here in the middle of February now. Valentine's Day is coming up. You guys good on Valentine's Day? Mark, you good? You got a plan?
We don't really celebrate it, so I'm all good.
Oh, good for you.
How'd you get out of that one?
Yeah.
Well, because it's a fake holiday. I mean, let's be real here. We are like, we love each other. We don't need a day to say it. We can just.
Hey, give me some more dating advice. I have never heard a man talk about Valentine's Day like this. Well, maybe just because you're with the boys, but
I'll be honest.
Man.
Last night I looked at Maddie and said, "We're not doing any gifts for our anniversary this year. Our anniversary's 2 days after Valentine's Day." She goes, "No." I said, "I love you."
Yeah, we'll go out to a nice dinner or something like that. But we
That
don't need
right
to
there is
do anything
romance.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I said, "I love you." Have I ever told you that? You're the greatest. I love you, babe. 9 IU guys in the Combine. How about that? What a world we live in. 9 IU football players, 6 from South Bend, all offense. You got several former Boilers in the game. One guy I'm curious to talk to Dane Brugler about, Dylan Thieneman, former Purdue safety, Westfield product, was a key player for Oregon in their run this year. He's got him pretty high up on the board there. Can you imagine we get a Westfield and a Lawrence North kid in round 1?
wouldn't that be something?
When's the last time 2 Indiana high school football players have been first-round picks?
That's a question for Greg Rakestraw.
Greg will probably know.
Or Mike Chappell.
Oh, that's so rake. That's
That is
all
rake.
rake. 8 o'clock tomorrow, Greg Rakestraw.
He'll have the answer by then.
You think we've had that before? I'm trying to think. Karloftis, sometimes the Jalen Smith group out of Fort Wayne. I mean, Zach Martin was a first-round pick out of Chautauqua.
I would guess
are we getting
yes,
any?
given the amount of talent that is in the Indianapolis area. So I'm going to say yes, but I would have to do some research.
I was looking at the list last night, and we all know what a stud the running back from Notre Dame is, Jeremiah Love. Like, he's probably top 10, 15 pick, don't you think, at some point?
Yeah, but he was the best player in college football this year.
And then honestly, I'll be honest with you. I know he's good, but is Jadarian Price, is how good is he? The other running back.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys have him as a top 5 running back. And the thing about Price, which again we're nerding out a little bit here, but very good kick returner. And we saw this year, the new rule change, the kick return matters a lot. So I think that would be advantageous to him. But man, Jeff, you bring up those names, it just makes me sad, frankly.
Well, you're just ready to run it back, aren't you?
Well, you can't run.
You can't. No, I'm talking about you're
running
excited
it back
about
to
the
those two.
team. You're telling me that they're good to go again next year.
I told you Ryan Bowen booked the hotel room for Vegas.
That's what I'm saying.
Has anyone ever gone to Vegas and stayed in a Courtyard Marriott at the convention center? Because that's where the Bowen brothers are. Do they have
Look out, here comes trouble.
Do they have a Continental in the morning?
Probably.
I was about to say, I don't
As-
think there's
as
a
long as it doesn't
continental
have
breakfast that
bacon, you're good
exists
to go.
in Vegas.
As long as there's no limp bacon. Preach, Mark Dykton, preach.
I'll tell you this, as a guy who frequented Las Vegas as a single guy when I was in Salt Lake City, the back when
Tell us more.
Christine,
Come on
close your
here.
ears.
Man.
Christine, close your ears.
I met Christine at a blackjack table in Las Vegas.
Are you sure there's only 2
baby,
boys?
you made the best bet of your life.
Man.
That's probably the most exciting thing about that story, though. She was there with a bunch of her friends. I was there with the basketball team, and we just kind of kept up conversation and ended up meeting each other in some different cities after a long time. So it was good.
Yeah. Ricker pulled out that big old stack of cash. She was like, oh, man.
Especially back
Mr.
then.
Worldwide, Jeff Bernard over here.
Especially back then.
You ever heard of the Rhino? Would you like to head down the strip?
did not frequent the Rhino. But I will tell you this. My point was, we went 2 spring breaks ago. It's not the same Vegas that it was 15, 20 years ago.
Well, maybe you're not the same. That's
Maybe.
probably the better way to put it.
I don't know. This just feels different.
I think if you want to
Feels
experience,
much more corporate.
if you want to experience Vegas, you can find yourself experiencing Vegas.
I think you could probably do that anywhere, though, can't you?
Their fastball still throwing 98. Your fastball, probably not.
It's always been
daddy.
no daddy. Wait,
Whoa,
where did that? Dear Lord, where did that come from?
And that is an AI.
When did that come from?
I do remember you saying this.
Was that real?
That is definitely real.
No, Daddy. No, Daddy.
And that's from the Vegas trip, Mark?
No.
Oh, man.
I just
Later,
want to be
yeah.
accurate
Oh,
here.
That
man.
sounds like the very end of a story that I may have been telling.
Sounds like
is
a
what that
safe
sounds
word
like.
to me.
Boy,
Man.
journalistic
This
integrity. I
is
just want
a
to make
kid's
sure we're
show.
on it. I mean,
Family show here, Jeff. Man.
Mark Dykton is the orchestrator of all that stuff, just so you know. And
How
he's
does Mark find
proud
that
of
so
it as
quickly?
well. That's what he's listening for.
Hey, he knows where the bodies are buried.
All right. Quick timeout. We've got great guests for you coming up throughout the day. Joel A. Erickson from the Indy Stars is going to talk Colts. Then we'll talk
Jeff's
to Scott
gonna
Agnes.
shower during the break.
That's
after
right.
That one.
We have to go get a tall drink of water in a second as we continue 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Kevin, I'll get you excited here. No, Daddy. No, Daddy.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. Welcome into a Thursday. It's the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton, getting all the chuckles back there in the control room. I'm Jeff Rickard. And Kevin, this one for us, too. James says, is it just me or are any of you guys getting the baseball itch? Seeing pitchers and catchers reporting means long summer days are around the corner. Go Reds!
I think the Reds are going to win it all.
Well, now's the time to say that.
Okay, you're drunk, obviously.
Now's the time to say what are the Cubs doing?
They're spending money. They're a contender.
I thought that's why we're having Joel Erickson on today.
Oh, we have to get him before he's fully distracted because he's got the depth chart out and he's seeing who's going to be in the rotation and all that stuff.
I like it. James, they appreciate that. 239-1070 on the fan text line. A lot of basketball. That's the time of year that we find ourselves in right now. Over at Hinkle, we saw a former Mr. Basketball do his thing last night as UConn comes in and gets a hard-fought win over, I thought, a very gutty performance from a very injured, banged-up Butler basketball team. But in the game, which was really fun to watch, was Dan Hurley, the coach for UConn, after the game, Kevin Bowen. He had some interesting things to say, as he always does.
Yeah, and honestly, if you watch the television broadcast, they caught a good amount of it. You know, him and Thad Matta have, I would say, a decently long conversation in the handshake line, and then I think Hurley stopped Matta on the way off the floor and had even a longer conversation. And then he continued in the post-game press conference. And, there are times I feel like we do see this a little bit, particularly in college basketball. Coach of successful program beats other conference foe, and then they get up in the podium and they just patronize. I don't know if that's the right word, but they do kind of, go down that path. They do get very preachy, I guess. But nonetheless, Dan Hurley did not hold back, and he was very candid in addressing the resources across the Big East, where Butler's standing is compared to UConn, for example. This was Dan Hurley last night in regards to Thad Matta and the Butler program.
Cash, man. Money. I have an idea of what they've spent. I have an idea what they spent, and he should get Big East Coach of the Year for what he's done, what he did with that team in a non-conference before he lost the starting point guard, and then before he's lost his backup point guard. That guy. I coached against Coach when he was at Ohio State. I obviously followed him when he was at Butler. When I was at Rhodey, he went. He beat my ass, I think in year one or year two there, one of his great Ohio State teams. I mean, when it was college basketball, recruiting, developing, culture, building a program, player development, before the turned into the G League, he was, one of the best coaches. So if you give him money and, you give him $8-9 million a year or more to actually, build a team that can compete for championships, he'll do it as good as any of the coaches in the Big East. He's as good as any coach in our league.
That was high praise.
That was very high praise from a guy who's got 2 national championships under his belt, and but we've always kind of known, if you pay attention around the sport, coaches have always looked up to Thad Matta. He's always kind of had that respect from people.
Here's a question I have for you all then. How much are you buying that?
Yeah, because again, James, there is an element of you do hear this sometimes from coaches, especially after wins like this. But I think, and Thad was asked about it late in his press conference last night, and he didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like he's going on some rant here, but
no. I mean, he didn't acknowledge it maybe with the type of color that Dan Hurley just acknowledged it. But he did say, we are trying to do some things, and he mentioned Grant Leindecker, their relatively new AD. We're trying to do some things from a creative standpoint to increase where we are budget-wise. The Big East is one of the more unique conferences in college basketball because outside of UConn, where are the football programs funding these Big East schools?
Yeah.
There's just not there. But then you have Villanova in Philly. You have Marquette in Milwaukee. You have a lot of these teams. Several of these teams are playing in NBA arenas, which is kind of wild when you look at that conference. So, I think it's a very fair statement to say Butler is not sitting at the big kids table when it comes to the Big East from a resource standpoint. And I think when Dan Hurley says, I think he's exactly right. I mean, Butler was certainly a tournament team entering the Big East, and then a slew of injuries took place. And I think one thing about the NIL era is I think it's hurting the depth of teams so much. I think it's really difficult to withstand injuries because why is the 8th or 9th guy going to stay at your place and listen to the grow and develop mindset and, hey, you might sit here for a year or two, but then you'll get your opportunity? Well, yeah, that sounds good. And it might have been whatever Chris Holtman could have preached 7 or 8 years ago, but that's not reality of their situation. And look how many new faces are on the Butler roster. I mean, what is it? Bizjack and Haywood, the only guys that are back from last year. Mm-hmm. So it's just, it is jarring when you hear the figure. You know, when Hurley says, what do you say, 8-9 million?
Or more.
I mean, think about that. Like, that's the reality of where college basketball is at these days. And, obviously Indiana fans, they look at their team and think, there's probably not a college basketball program that's gotten least return on investment from their team than Indiana over the last, 4 or 5 years, however you want to define the NIL era there. Mm-hmm. So I'll be curious. I'll be curious if that motto wants to continue to be in this era. I'll be curious if Butler wants to run it back for another year. You can't ignore the injuries, but, again, there's been some struggles the first couple of years. And, the counter to that would be Val Jordan maybe didn't leave them in the best spot possible when he took over. This is the guy that we had on yesterday. Where did he go to college? Travis Steele went to Butler. Mm-hmm. Is that, and Miami of Ohio's NIL ranking in the MAC. I mean, all of these things are very relevant.
Yeah, and you talk about NIL for a couple of those teams in the Big East too. It doesn't hurt a Villanova that they've got multiple national championships.
And they got the Pope
recently.
On their side.
Right. It doesn't hurt UConn that they've got so many national championships in the last 25, 30 years. It doesn't hurt St. John's that they're in the number one media market in the world and they've got a coach that has national championship pedigree. Those things go a long way for schools that don't have football, and not everybody has those.
I think you all make some very good points. Very good points. And honestly, I'll just laugh at the fact that he called it the G League, whatever it is now, because it's changed
It's
so
pro
much.
Player development, baby, one and done.
Well, and again, I think Thad said that to us. I asked him something a few weeks ago about, I think it was the Alabama kid, the Charles Bediako, coming back to play. And I want to say Thad's first response was like, well, first off, I wouldn't call it college basketball anymore. I think I asked him, like, what would be one guardrail you'd want to establish in college basketball? And he said, well, it's not that. And you are seeing some of this, too, around – again, college basketball, of when you hire a new coach, at times, all of a sudden that new coach brings in funding. Now, I don't want to say that like the coach is just sitting there on a pile of cash, the new coach, but your alumni base, your boosters, they might be more encouraged by, hey, you're trying to do something differently. Here's a little bit more of a financial contribution that I wouldn't have been willing to make to the previous
like
coach.
St. John's getting a Rick Pitino.
Right. Now, obviously, Rick Pitino's in a different stratosphere, but like even some of these other, lower profile head coaches here.
Yeah. So that's what's going on in college basketball from last night. Also, the Pacers. Can't say they didn't try, James. Look at that injury list last night. Guys who did not play for the Pacers, they were doing their best to not win that basketball game when the game started.
What do you guys say to people that feel like the Pacers should be trying more to tank?
Oh, I thought you meant trying more to win.
Well, I don't know what else you can do. When you sit Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, T.J. McConnell, and Ivica Zubac all at the same time, what can you do?
Yeah, I think that's a good question that Jeff just asked. So are you saying, like, just sit them rest of the season, or?
Well, okay, so we have seen the Pacers win back-to-back games.
Right.
They handled...
In very different fashions, though, I will say.
Exactly, so that's what I want to point out. They handled the New York game much different than the Brooklyn game. The New York game, they played their dudes. They played Siakam, they played Nembhard, they played Nesmith, and they played them in the fourth quarter in overtime.
Right.
Whereas we've seen some teams in the tank not do that. Play their guys, but then stop when the game's on the line. Now, last night, with the Nets, the team that's right there in the lottery standings, they sat. I mean, Jeff read off the injury report earlier in the show. So my response to my own question would be, I don't think they can do anything differently than they did last night.
Because you can't tell a guy.
I mean, you're not going to tell Cam Jones to miss the three.
Right, he's the guy's playing for his virtual NBA life every time he gets out on the floor.
And that's a very good point Jeff makes again. It's tough. It's a weird situation to be in, but also I don't want to overreact to it, but we look at these standings now, and the top 4 lottery pick odds, you did drop a little bit when it comes to the percentage points from yesterday's win. I believe they're now at 48% to get a top 4 pick.
Yeah, so they were at 52 before the 2 wins. They've dropped to 48. And if they drop 2 more spots, which right now is about 3 games, that would be Utah, those odds would shrink by about 10 more %. So you're looking at, and again, I hate to throw all these numbers out there, but it's the reality of where we're at with the lottery. You were at 52% when you made the trade for a top 4 pick. If you continue to win, whatever, you could be at 35%, 37% by the end of this month.
And do you see who they play when they come out of the break?
Wiz, baby.
Back-to-back games against the Wizards.
Now, again, that first game, Mark, you said back-to-back, Thursday, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
They usually sit their dudes the second night of the back-to-back. Will they sit them the first night? Because everything says that's what you should do. And that would be the question now I have when they get back from the All-Star break. Do we see more of the second night of the back-to-back resting? And trust me, I'm doing the quote sign for those that can't see it. Do we see that more routinely? Because when they play teams like Washington, Mark, to your point, those are the games that matter twice. Those are like your divisional games in the NFL. But now that's the reality of where you're at from a tank standpoint.
I'm going to hit the simulated lottery again. You ready on the tankathon.com? And it was number 4 last hour. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, I got this time.
Look at that.
Followed by New Orleans, Washington, and Dallas. I might not make another one, Mark. I'm just going to keep that one.
That's a solid one.
Jazz got fined last year for resting.
Yes, they did.
So how do you rule on that?
Well, they got a coach who doesn't even call timeouts late in games now.
So how do you literally judge that?
Well, again, this was last year, so
and by the way, fines I think are idiotic. With
but I'll explain why they got fined $100,000 last year in March for sitting Lauri Markkanen in a game against the Wizards, and the reason why they got fined was because of I think it's like that star policy that they have, where you can't rest guys in what would be I don't know if that was a nationally televised game or something like that. But I believe
Lord knows the Pacers aren't going to be on national TV.
Yeah,
though.
but I believe it's something of that realm where the NBA has kind of laid it out where if you made an all-star team within the last few years, there are certain guys, and when it comes up to these national games, you have to play them. You can't rest them. They have to have legitimate injuries. So I think that's why they got fined as much as they did last year.
Right now, the problem that the NBA has, and it's no secret, people have been talking about it, but you have literally a third of the league that are not interested in winning basketball games.
Mark, do you want to weigh in on this? Because I think I'll speak for myself. I'll probably cut you off yesterday, but just the fandom part, I think you really hit a lot of strong points yesterday about the whole fan experience. Because we're looking at it, and granted, I'm used to doing it like that as a reporter. You look at it from a team perspective and a team building perspective, and then you kind of lose sight of, well, there would be no games and teams and all this stuff if the fans weren't there to support you and to enjoy themselves. So how do you, weigh in on the whole tanking thing in the NBA, to your point, Mark, of it happening so soon as well?
Well, yeah, my point is what I was saying yesterday and I have said on social media and stuff is right now is when the NBA should be getting an uptick in viewership and ratings. The NFL season just ended. Baseball season hasn't started yet. The hockey audience isn't what it used to be. This is the time that the NBA, a lot of fans are like, okay, the NBA season starts now. Football season's over. College football is over. I'm ready to dive into some hoops action. And then you turn on the TV and you're watching these teams and you're seeing margins of victories by 20 points on regular nights and stuff. And you're like, we watched the game. We're like, who was playing on the Nets last night? It's one of those things where as a fan, you turn on and you look at the product and you're like, Wait, let me look at the calendar real quick. It's early February, and a third of the league is already tanking. We're already turning the page the next season. We're already tanking for draft picks. Why in the hell should I spend my hard-earned money or my time or try to get my kids to watch or go to a game when the product on the court is god awful? Like, why would I have an incentive to try to encourage my family or anything like that to put time aside or money aside to watch a product where the league isn't even trying to produce an interesting product? Why would I spend hard-earned money when I don't even know if any stars are going to play?
Right.
Like, what is the point? Why am I going to subscribe to FanDuel Sports Network on a given night? First of all, if it works at all, and second of all, if I don't even know who's going to play, and if I've already seen the team throw in the towel, and we still have 2.5 months of season left, where's the incentive as a fan to be in remotely interested in the NBA right now? The veterans like LeBron and Steph, they're injured. They're not playing. Where are the young stars? Where is the interest level at? I don't think I've been this disinterested in the NBA product in a long time, and I don't think I'm in the minority on that. I think a lot of people are saying, I'm not interested since these players aren't interested. There's all these rest days. There's all these other things going on that never happened back in the day. These guys are getting millions of dollars. If they're not interested in the sport they play, why should I be?
Facts.
Yeah.
Preach, Mark.
No, and I'm going to ask you a question, too. Chicago right now, I know you pay a little bit of attention to the Bulls still, but they have the 10th worst record in the league, and they have lost 6 games in a row. Are they actually trying to improve their draft position, or that's just all they can do right now?
I think their sell-off at the deadline is something they should have done probably a couple of years ago. Maybe they could have gotten some better draft compensation for it, but the Bulls the last decade right now have kind of been in basketball hell, where they suck at sucking. They should tank and they don't, and then they end up making the play-in game against the Heat, and they end up with a mid-level draft pick. So they're never bad enough to be at the top of the draft board, and they're never good enough to actually make any noise in the playoffs. So that's like the worst place to be as a fan base.
And again, I think this is a league issue, not a team issue. This
100%.
is a league issue. And they tried to flatten the lottery odds 5 or 6 years ago. I forget the exact year, of making it more even. I think we've talked about this. Like the 1, 2, and 3 worst teams in the league, they all get the same odds.
14%.
And some people have said, hey, why don't you just flatten the entire lottery? Why not everybody get the same odds? You know, that's been a bit of a counter there to it. But, I mean, it's I would say this rather confidently. There are people in the Pacers organizations last night that were disappointed when Cam Jones hit the 3.
Yes.
That is not healthy. I was half joking, half serious when I let off the show with, I want cameras on Kevin Pritchard, Chad Buchanan, Ted Wu, Kelly Krauskopf, who can fake their emotion to say they're happy. The Pacers put the pick parameters in there for a reason, 1 to 4. They wanted them for a reason. They want one of those picks.
Well, then going back to your point about lawyer marketing last year, I looked it up, Kevin. So they were fined $100,000, and they were fined because marketing is, quote, a star player under their new policy, which basically means if you were an all-star within the last few years, you have to be made available to play at a reasonable basis. And looking back at this story from ESPN, he had missed, I want to say, about a month of basketball, and it was listed as injury management on his lower back. And then once they fined him, he played the next game. So, I think.
So is that why they're playing him right now? Because they are doing
exactly.
They are actually playing their dudes.
Yeah,
for 3 quarters,
and then you just pull them. Right. I think, and so to kind of tie it to the Pacers, I think the problem you would run into with a tank, an all-out tank, is if you just don't play Pascal Siakam, because he will fall into that star rule of he's an all-star this year. He's got to be made available to the fan base or whatever in not only this city but other cities. So. The theory, at least my theory, is going forward, if you want to tank, then you play Pascal Siakam 3 quarters and you sit him in the 4th quarter.
You think Rick Carlisle would do that?
I actually don't. But I also wonder if that's a conversation you have to have internally. Because I believe they must have had one a few years ago when they lost the last 10 in 2022 after they traded for Halliburton. I'll say this. You support on the team. I can say this for a fact. they had to have a conversation internally to decide, hey, guys, it might be better if we win 25 games than 35.
Right. They sat Brogdon.
Exactly. Yeah. So are you going to have that same conversation at some point to say, hey, big picture here, we put these parameters on this pick for a reason. We understand what you guys are doing, but we got to step in and make sure that we do what's best for the overall team directional standpoint.
And that's fine and dandy, but you're looking at 27 games left in the regular season.
Oh, I agree. It's nasty.
So from an NFL standpoint, my math isn't the best, but that's like 5 or 6 games. So let's just say that puts us at week 10 on the NFL season. You were telling an NFL fan base at week 10, we're done. We're not trying the rest of the year. We'll see you next year.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
That's the equivalent. Like, that sounds awful.
All right, Mark, let's check it down very quickly. We got Joel Erickson coming up on the other side of the break after the check down.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Pacers win over the Nets, 115-110 last night. A game heard right here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Cam Jones hit a late three-pointer to break a 110-all tie, and Pacers got a couple of free throws after that. They win at 115-110. Jarris Walker led the way with 23. 6 Pacers in double figures, including Micah Potter, Ethan Thompson, and Talon Peter. What'd you think of those guys last night?
Boy, I could fake it and say, oh, man, thrilled, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
You're just bummed that they won.
Shout out Cam Jones, baby. Step back 3 dagger.
If you watch the final minute, Cam Jones looked like he was tanking and then all of a sudden stopped turning the ball over.
Don't be a hater like Kevin Bowen, people.
Hit a big shot.
Only remember the highlights. Only remember the good parts. I don't care about those turnovers. You see that bucket at the end?
If you want to look at the highlight from last night, go find a posting of the Quentin Jackson dunk last night.
Yeah, that belongs in a Slam magazine or there Sports Illustrated somewhere.
Anything to read into they didn't play Jarris Walker or Quentin Jackson late? That is given your personnel.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the Jazz have done.
That is true.
You play your frontline guys and you stop. Now again, Siakam, Nembhard, Nesmith, those guys are in a different category.
It's a little more veiled when I guess those guys don't have the same household name recognition.
But Jarris Walker had what last night? 25, something like that. 23, and he wasn't out on the floor late.
That now ends what is the unofficial first half of the NBA season for the Pacers, even though they played more than half their games. They hit the All-Star break at 15-40. Also, college basketball last night. Hinkle Fieldhouse, UConn beat Butler 80-70. I thought Butler was gutty. They hung in there. They played as well as they could, but too much solo ball, 24 points for the Huskies. And Braylon Mullins from Greenwood Central, 15 points, 5 rebounds. And the former Mr. Indiana basketball looking good last night as UConn gets a 10-point win. Coming up this weekend, Purdue plays at Iowa Saturday, Indiana at Illinois on Sunday. At the Olympics, speed skater Jordan Stolz of the United States wins gold in the 1,000 meters. Ryan Cochran-Siegel won silver in the Super G. Are you guys into short track speed skating at all?
I don't know what it is necessarily, but is that when they go in the circle?
They're basically
they just turn left like the Indy 500?
Yeah, but they're basically doing it on ice that fits in an arena as opposed to the big outside. And it's crazy crashes sometimes going into the last lap or two because everybody's trying to get that angle. It's kind of fun.
I'm in. I didn't love the 1,000 yesterday. It was just like a time trial. I mean, you had one other guy with you. But, yeah, I like when you get multiple.
There's usually 5 guys on the track at the same time.
Get back.
And again, that Jordan Stolz from Wisconsin, that dude is unbelievable. That final lap was incredible. Sounds like he could be the star of the, this portion, I guess, of the Winter Olympics.
All right, Daytona 500 qualifying is in the books. Kyle Busch wins the pole. He is looking for his first 500 win in his 21st try. They've got twin races tonight. Still 2 spots up for grabs in the field in that one. Also, the Team USA Women's World Cup roster has been announced for their qualifying tournament in San Juan, Puerto Rico next month. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston are 2 of the names on that list. And anything else you guys want to throw in before we go to break and get to Joel A. Erickson?
Real quick, Stephanie White will also be an assistant on that team for Team USA. So you have 3 representatives from the Indiana Fever.
I did want to point out one other thing last night. Clippers beat the Rockets 105-102. And in that game, Benedict Mathurin off the bench scored 16 points, was 9 of 10 from the free throw line, had 3 steals, a block shot, and was +6 as they start to integrate him into their lineup there.
Yeah, he's getting a little more comfortable. I think he was 9 of 10 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
So that is typical Benedict Mathurin fashion right there.
All right, Joel A. Erickson joins us next. We'll talk football and the Colts as we continue 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show, along with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton. I'm Jeff Rickard. We've been talking a lot about tanking in the NBA this morning, but now we go the other way. How do you build your team up as quickly as possible to get good in the offseason? We're talking about the Indianapolis Colts, and nobody I can think of better qualified to join us and talk about this and join our discussion than our next guest, Joel A. Erickson of the Indy Star. He joins us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Good morning, Mr. Erickson. I probably would imagine you've noticed that pitchers and catchers have reported as well.
I have noticed the pitchers and catchers have reported. Pat Murphy spoke yesterday, and he spoke before. I got to be honest though, I'm a little thrown off by something I heard on a TV broadcast watching basketball last night. I flipped over for the Missouri-Texas A&M game. Big win for my Tigers. They needed that one after the Pacers game was done. And the color analyst, where they were talking, the play-by-play guy said something about Reggie Miller drawing fouls, and the color analyst said, Reggie's before my time, and I'm having an existential crisis this morning.
Welcome to the club, Joel. You and I can talk.
I thought you were having a crisis for being asked to cover that Pacers game last night.
That was a little bit of a crisis. I had to brush up on my 2A guys real fast before that one started, but. Man, I'm not ready for Reggie Miller being before anybody's time. I'm not.
Jason Richardson's son is in the dunk contest Saturday night, Joel, if you want to continue down this path. And Tiger Woods is committed to college.
Real quick here, I'll jump in, Joel. So at my barbershop that I go to, they have a poster in one of the corners, and it's of Reggie Miller, and it has all his rankings of like where he was in 3-point made shots and free throw percentage and all these things. And the poster is old because it says he's still first in 3-pointers. And I want to say he might be like 6th or 7th now. And every time I look at it, I'm like, wow, the world is changing. Like, this is not everything that was right with the world. I mean, Reggie Miller, when you think of him, he was a 3-point GOAT for so long. And now I think James Harden made more threes than him. Buddy Hield, I think, might be on pace to pass him. Like, that's crazy to me, but that's reality now.
The changing game and the numbers always get me, but somebody who's on TV talking about basketball, granted, it's King McClure. He's only 29. Like, I had to look all this up after it, but not knowing Reggie Miller at all. Oof. James, you know Reggie Miller. You're not that much older than 29, right?
Hey, but in fairness, I didn't watch him live very often. I'm just a basketball guru, so I'll leave it at that. To pivot to more Colts-related things, which is what you cover on a more day-to-day basis, Joel. So we're a few weeks out from the NFL Draft Combine. If I had to tell you, okay, your first pick this year is not in the first round, it's the second round. It's number 47, I believe, right now. What position are you taking with that pick?
If I'm going straight need, with this Colts team, it's got to be a defensive end, I think. But the problem is 47. I think Colts fans now know after the last 9 years or so that getting defensive ends in the second round doesn't always pan out the way you'd like in terms of that stuff. So I don't think you can go necessarily straight need with it. You think you'd obviously go whoever you think is the best player available, but you want that player to be somewhere on defense. You want that player to be somewhere on defense, but it's not necessarily the type of spot where you normally think, okay, this is where I get a difference-making defensive end. Those picks usually come from 1 to about 12 or so.
Joel A. Erickson from the Star with us here, talking a little Colts, a little bit of everything, I guess, on this Wednesday or Thursday morning, I should say. Any chance you think franchise tag for Daniel Jones?
I think what's more likely is that Jones signs in Indy, and then maybe we see a franchise tag on Alec Pierce. It just seemed when we left and everything we've heard since then, but really that Chris Ballard press conference kind of confirmed what we've been hearing all along, was that this team was all in on Daniel Jones. I think they'll they'll kind of do whatever it takes to make sure that he doesn't get to the market. So, without having been to the combine yet, gotten a chance to talk to a bunch of people, I would guess that's getting him in the fold early is priority one, so that you can then open your options for what you do with Pierce.
Joel A. Erickson joining us from the Indy Star. We're talking Colts football. They announced the list of combine invitees yesterday. A ton of Indiana and some Notre Dame guys on there. Anybody from Indiana that you could see fitting with the Indianapolis Colts down the line in the draft?
Yeah. I mean, some of those guys, it depends on in terms of like, do the Colts make a move away from a veteran? D'Angelo Pons isn't like the biggest guy, but he does feel like the kind of guy that you could use as a nickel in the NFL and use very, very well and devastatingly as a nickel. If they were going to move away from, if they moved away from Michael Pittman, do you look at one of the wide receivers there as a replacement for that? I think those guys were the ones that jumped to mind first in terms of Indiana players coming to the Colts. It's usually you think of in the NFL, you don't think of the local guy ending up though in the team with the team next door, because it just doesn't seem to work out like that.
Yeah, it's just, when was the last time, like ever, Indiana's got guys like the SEC teams have guys, and they're legitimate guys, and there are many of them.
Yeah, I know. Normally when you go to the combine, you're talking about, one or I see Zach Osterman on the combine floor like one day, but it seems like those guys are going to have to be up here doing quite a bit more. I will say this was a big storyline when I covered the Saints and I lived in New Orleans, because LSU, the Saints were always getting killed for not drafting LSU guys, and their point was always, well, a lot of times LSU guys are gone before we have a chance to pick. So that could come into play again this April.
Joel, you're a smart dude. You got any good tanking correction ideas for the NBA?
I don't know if I have a good one in terms of, because one of the other things that stuck out to me is that you have even like I watched Spurs Thunder recently. I watched Spurs Lakers, where those teams are in the playoffs and they're not playing anybody on a given night. And I don't know if that's going on, how you keep a team like the Pacers from not playing anybody, or a team like the Nets from not playing their starters. It seems like the lottery should take some of that out, but then there's also the piece of it where I've been seeing the stats about the team that with the worst record hasn't gotten the number one pick in like 5 years or something like that. And I don't know. It is the one I saw was the one I saw somebody come up with was do it in reverse order. The team with the best record of those teams gets the first pick, but that's not fair either, because then you get teams that maybe had like one injury and should be a playoff team getting the first pick.
I mean, that would literally probably be the Pacers right now, if I'm being honest. If Tyrese Halliburton's healthy, their record isn't what it is. So it's a very interesting concept, to say the least, Joel. And I enjoyed seeing some of your tweets and updates. I did see that you had a chance to type up some of the comments from Chad Buchanan as well about the addition of Ivica Zubac. So you got the full, I feel like, experience, even though you're probably sitting at home, but you got a little news in there. You got a close game there. How did it feel to be covering, a later start in the middle of the week? I gave it up, brother, and I don't know if I'll ever go back.
I like moonlighting on Pacers whenever Dustin needs the help. I mean, James, I'm not as big an NBA guy as you are, but I am an NBA guy. It's fun to jump on there and get a good look at the Pacers. I thought what Buchanan said about knowing that the championship window sometimes closes quicker than you expect was a really interesting thing. And that's one of those things that, and really anything I write, I kind of wonder if Dustin would go, oh, that's old news. But I thought that was an interesting quote in terms of where the Pacers' thinking is, that you can't expect this core to be in championship contention forever, just because that's just not how it always works out in the NBA.
Well, I got one more before we let you go, Joel. So, and I got to see in this tweet. So I think you put out there, hey, I'm filling in for Dustin. He's resting the second night of a back-to-back, a la some of the stars of the Pacers. And then I believe Scott Horner chimed in and was like, well, is Dustin tanking? So have you got any information on that? Should the league be investigating Dustin Dopirak?
Well, here's the thing, though. Dustin, in this scenario, Dustin's a player. So really, it's Nat Newell that I think that has to get investigated, right?
Editor Indy Star. Okay. All right. I always got a little smoke for Nat out there, the former boss.
Does Nat have to be investigated for tanking, for putting a football guy out there on a basketball night? That's the real question.
The real question is your Brewers or Mark's Cubs or our Reds at the end of the year? That's the question.
Oh, don't get them started.
It's a good one. It's a good one. How's Mark Dykton feeling? Is Mark Dykton feeling?
Oh, he was calling for championship 20 minutes ago.
I'm feeling I mean, the addition of Alex Bregman made me feel better. I think they'll get a solid rotation with the once Justin Steele fully returns and all that stuff. So I'm feeling pretty good.
And the Reds guys, what do we got? What are we thinking on the Reds?
Kevin and I were talking. This is the year for World Series, building off that playoff push and surprise appearance in the postseason last year.
Don't look now, but here come the Red Legs.
What the hell were you murmuring back there?
You were saying they're going to win it all.
Right, yeah. I know. I don't think I minced words.
That water smells like vodka, if you ask me.
All right, so I saw one projection from a bunch of baseball analysts that said Cubs 88 wins, Brewers 87, Cubs are on the Reds 83. So 88, 87, 83.
What projection was that?
That came from USA Today, your employer.
Oh, the projection systems usually hate Milwaukee, and it makes.
Well, this is a 5-person panel, so.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason I saw this the other day. This will give you guys a window into how bad of a nerd I am. I saw from Pacoda, which obviously does some good projecting for baseball. They were saying that the small market teams that use younger players, it's harder to project them because those projections are based on track record essentially, and guys who are younger who are just called up don't have a track record in the majors. So it's much easier to project a team like the Phillies than it is a team like the Brewers, because I think Pacoda has them at 81 wins or something like that. Oof. But that's kind of par for the course. All of Zips, all of the analytical things always have them low, and that makes sense to me that it's because of the young guys.
Shockingly, they all think the Dodgers are going to win 98 games. I don't know how that happened.
Joel sounded like me describing high school recruiting in golf yesterday.
All right.
I love you, Joel.
I will leave you to your day. Thanks for spending time with us. We appreciate it.
You bet. We'll see you guys.
Joel A. Erickson on the Payless Liquors Hotline.
He's our nerd. We love him.
I do.
I'll nerd out in baseball with him anytime.
And Joel is always the man to follow when you're on the road. He knows the restaurants. He gets me right. He's opened up my palate a little bit.
Grades his kids eating dinner off of the WAR metric.
I know we're late, Mark, but is it just me? The Dodgers projected at 98 wins. That feels low, doesn't it?
I'm shocked they only spent $2 billion so far.
I feel like they should win 105, 110 games, shouldn't they?
162-0, or it's a failure.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap up the hour. We'll get ready to go to Scott Agnes at 9 o'clock talking Pacers, tanking, and all that kind of stuff. It's 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
MP beat my name from the ghetto to fame. Got to make them say, get the world screaming my name. From every soldier wreck, from every killer to cadet. Player haters get wet, true players march, players step. We know.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Cruising through the NBA season, which has reached the All-Star break. We got a lot of great college basketball coming up, and we've been talking about some of it, the Butler UConn game last night. We're also in the middle of the Olympics right now. I was watching hockey yesterday because, I'm a hockey nerd, and I thought Italy, who's basically ranked maybe 11th or 12th out of the 12 teams, gave one of the best teams, Sweden, a real run for their money for a while before the Swedes kind of put the hammer down late. Looking forward to that. Team USA plays later on today just after 3 o'clock against Latvia. I can honestly say, Kevin, it's the first time I'm really looking forward to watching a hockey game involving the Latvian national team. Just because I want to see Team USA.
And we should roll, right?
We should roll in that one. I would imagine that would be a game that they definitely need to win. They've got that going on. Short track speed skating is always fun TV. James, you should check this out because it's basically 5 guys or 5 women, and it's a short track. Think the outside of a hockey rink is where they're going. There's cones set up for them, and they have to make these turns, and the turns are so tight they're usually putting a hand down on the corners, and they're all going for the same line in the last lap or two. Some crazy, crazy things can happen. I saw one of my favorite things I've ever seen in an Olympic. I forget who it was, but there was a skater who early in the race, it was a longer race, early in the race he lapped the field, and they forgot about it. And he just hung out at the back of the pack for the rest of the race and ended up winning the gold medal from the back of the pack that still had a lap to go.
Sounds like Alex Palou last year in IndyCar.
I enjoy this. And, my wife had me watching ice dancing yesterday, which she kept saying, watch this. And I was like, okay, that was,
James, I did want to throw one Colts question your way. I know we're going to talk Scott Agnes, some Pacers here on the other side. I have heard from some people, I don't act like it's like a huge majority, but some people have said the Colts need to keep Anthony Richardson, given Daniel Jones's injury history.
Yeah.
Given Daniel Jones coming off a torn Achilles. Just to remind everybody, it's a $10.8 million cap hit for Anthony Richardson here in his 4th NFL season. Do you think that is a thought the Colts have debated much internally? Keeping him given Jones's injury history?
Not necessarily, no. And I think that's because, he still has a lot of injury history. And you have to see where his eye is at this point in his recovery. And that's something we would hope to get an update on in the coming weeks at the Combine, just to fill you all in. Chris Ballard usually does talk, and it's not always about the draft. I mean, a lot of these times, and I'm sure a lot of these questions will be about Anthony Richardson, his future, Daniel Jones, his progress. Hey, is Travarius Mooney-Ward going to still be a Colt this upcoming season? Those are questions that we will ask. But no, Kevin, and honestly, one of the questions I got the other day when I put out my top 5 Colts free agents was, well, what is the depth chart at quarterback if you re-sign Daniel Jones? Is AR still number 2? And I don't even think that's the case. If I had to rank them, if they're all 3 on the roster this upcoming season, to me, it would probably be Daniel Jones, Raleigh Leonard, and then Anthony Richardson.
Well, if you've got Richardson as a 3rd string, you can't have him. A $10.8 million cap hit for your 3rd string quarterback?
And that's why I don't think he'll be around. Yeah. And then also, we
has Riley Leonard earned that? Has he earned to be above Anthony Richardson? I mean, he's played, 6 quarters of NFL football?
I don't know if he's earned it necessarily, Kevin, but I think it's trending in that direction. I mean, Ballard kind of hinted at it at his end-of-season press conference. Now, granted, this is within the mindset of Anthony still kind of being injured, but he said, well, if Anthony isn't where he needs to be, we feel good about Riley being our number 2. So I just think that once you open that can up, I mean, I don't know necessarily if it's necessary to have like a open competition for QB2 going into next season. And then the flip side of it is, how many of us really think Anthony still wants to be here?
Sure. Yeah, again, there are a lot of other factors outside of just should they keep him given Daniel Jones' injury history. It is probably worth pointing out, again, the Colts feel uber optimistic about Daniel Jones and his return to health. But, potentially Riley Leonard, he might get every starting rep this spring if Daniel Jones is yet to be cleared for that activity. Now, again, it's a red jersey quarterback. He could maybe do some stuff in the spring within your own building there, but we could be looking at a spring of Riley Leonard leading starting offense.
It could be looking at a couple of weeks in training camp of that happening too.
I think internally they really believe Daniel Jones will be cleared for training camp.
Yeah.
Now, again, cleared for training camp, you still rock the red jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And cleared for training camp does not mean you go put him in a preseason game.
Yeah.
So,
and also, you're probably not taking every single rep. We saw it with Anthony with the shoulder when he came back, where you ease him back into it. So when we get out there to Westfield for the last time, actually, because this will be the last off-site training camp for the Colts, I wouldn't expect us to see Daniel Jones take every first-team rep. That, to me, would be a little naive. You definitely want to load manage, so to speak. And that's a big part of the NBA lingo. But in this scenario, you definitely don't want to overdo it with a guy who you're banking your season on in Daniel Jones.
All right, coming up in a moment, Scott Agnes talks about the Pacers, their unlikely win with an unlikely lineup last night in Brooklyn, and what do they do with the rest of the season? We'll talk about it as we continue. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Any more dramatic curling matches that I have to watch, I might be going back to We Grow Hair Indy. But honestly, I'm pretty pleased with the results. You can see those results, by the way. I think there's a billboard up on the northwest side. If that doesn't run you off the road, online, wegrowhairindy.com, the gold standard for hair restoration. They're up northwest side. Again, that would be the brick and mortar. Pyramids building number 2, lovely office. And Darren Andrews and his staff are ready to answer the questions you have. I certainly walked in there with some questions. One of them, what would the recovery process look like? I was very nervous and hesitant about that and did have to sleep upright for a few days. That was a bit awkward, but work-wise, back at work 48 hours after procedure. Actually took a trip to an SEC football game with some buddies that next weekend. So no issue there whatsoever. Again, the best in the business. Just happened to call the 317 home. It is We Grow Hair Indy, the gold standard for hair restoration. Contact them today.
listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
This is a banger for you, Mark. Good morning, everyone. Thursday on the Fan Morning Show. Along with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, I'm Jeff Rickard, Mark Dykton spinning the tunes back there, and we are talking Pacers basketball. Despite all efforts, we've been talking about it this morning, despite all efforts, they come up with a win last night against the Brooklyn Nets. I'll say New Jersey Nets and San Diego Chargers forever probably, but the Pacers win at 115-110. And we've been talking about all morning long. We thought we'd check in with Scott Agnes from the Fieldhouse Files to get his reaction. He joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. So, Mr. Agnes, on a night when the Pacers play without Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, Ivica Zubac, clearly without Obi Toppin, and clearly without Tyrese Halliburton, they go on the road and they win a basketball game. How surprised were you?
Just a little bit, only because how few players they had available, right? But the grand scheme of things is the Nets were down players too. What you're seeing a lot of times is opponents sneaking in rest for some of their best players when a team like the Pacers comes around. But I'm not surprised mostly, though, Jeff, because you got to remember, the 7 guys that are available, they're playing for a job. Some of them are trying to play for better jobs. And so much like, the final NFL game or whatever, there's a lot on the line for these guys, and they play it hard.
Scott, so far, we have yet to see Rick Carlisle go with the full-on sit Siakam, sit Nesmith, sit Nembhard, unless it's been a back-to-back. We haven't even seen him do what the Jazz have done and, play the guys for 3 quarters and then sit them. Post All-Star break, what do you think we will see? Will we see the continued nature to what they're doing, mostly second nights of back-to-backs, or do you think we'll see more outright resting?
Well, it did catch my eye last night, KB. The top 3 scorers, I think, at that time were Jarris Walker, Quentin Jackson, and Ethan Thompson, and none of those guys were in the final minutes. I remember specifically, I think it was 3 minutes left, and Jarris Walker was subbed out for Micah Potter. Maybe something, maybe nothing. But, realistically, I think it's more likely that their minutes are reduced much more than it is guys taking games off or anything like that. I think you take your time with Obi Toppin. You obviously take your time with Zubac, those guys in particular. There's guys like Nesmith who could very much use a couple additional games. But I think it'll be a matter of more so how they handle minutes and rotation rather than playing games like last night where you have half your roster available.
Scott, when you look at the addition of Ivica Zubac and what Chad Buchanan said on the broadcast last night of, hey, we want to be right back into championship contention next year, how do you think Zubac perhaps add to that, even with the implications of the draft?
Yeah, number one, James, he stabilizes that center spot that just has been out of sorts all season, right? Just because you didn't have anybody of that caliber. And and where he really increases what they do is rebounding, something they really have not had out of that position other than maybe Sabonis in recent years. But more than that, it's his versatility, it's his production, his physicality is intriguing. But what I'm really curious to see is so much of what Miles did with pick and pop. And Zubac is going to be rolling or got to be prepared to knock down, say, that 15-footer, right? And so I cautiously, optimistically feel good about where the Pacers can be next season. But you got several of these guys coming off significant injuries, certainly number one being Tyrese, that it will take some time. But I think having Zubac, having that position handled, now you're just intrigued to go back to the last question is, can you finish this season on a positive note while also doing your best, giving yourself the best case to secure that top 4 pick, and therefore you would retain it.
Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, joining us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. It's been the topic all day, and you've been talking about the Pacers and their role in it. Is there a fix?
In terms of tanking?
Yeah.
I've seen a few ideas tossed out that I'd give some consideration to, but realistically, I think teams, especially what have we been talking about in the last 15 years, analytics, data-driven. I think the Pacers employ about 5 data people for basketball and for the front office. They all have their different roles. I just think that's if any team can get an advantage, I think they're going to try to in a certain way, especially these smaller markets, because they need any little leg up on the Lakers, on the Knicks that they can get, for example. But one idea was, do you set the lottery, right now? And so, hey, you can't hurt or help your chances the rest of the way, so you might as well change. I've also seen years ago there was a discussion about just giving having some kind of lottery odds where, in general, I think all teams would have a chance to have it added eventually, and so it would be less season specific. But then then you have more likely than not, you would have a case of what happened in Golden State happened, where the rich get richer and it takes a little bit longer for teams rebuild. What I would like to see, Jeff, is for the league office to come a little bit more harsher here. If it is blatant, which is not what the Pacers have been doing by any means, but what Utah, for example, is doing, if it is blatant, there needs to be some kind of fine, some kind of penalty, to which point we'll find out what number eventually is harsh enough, and then teams will stop and they'll adapt.
Scott, I say screw the fine. They're going to pay whatever they want to pay. You got to take away draft picks if you really want to make a punishment, and that is a severe punishment. But we see this across all pro sports. Owners will happily write. Well, I don't know that many happies, but they are content to write a check as long as they can maintain the building process to their operation, i.e. draft picks.
I'm good with that then, but what I would say is you don't take it away. You go to the back of the lottery line. So if you were fighting for 2, 3, and 4, now you go to 14, and you could move up if another team follows and tries to tweak the system as well. But I don't want to reduce the number of draft picks, because then you're reducing the chances for players to get drafted and all of that as well. But I'm good with that.
I like moving back to the lottery. I think that's a good idea. Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, with us. That's where you can find his work. We are approaching a little bit more on the Indiana Fever. We saw the news yesterday. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, a part of a 5-game Team USA schedule coming up. This is next month down in Puerto Rico. Scott, do you have any idea, will those games be aired on TV? I asked that because obviously we haven't seen Caitlin Clark in a 5-on-5 setting in quite some time.
Yeah, no, we do not know just yet, but you would assume somebody would be smart enough to pick this up. And I would be stunned if it wasn't at least available on something like an ESPN Plus platform, just because a lot of FIBA games are televised in general. But these being just a qualifying tournament, I wonder how that factors in. I wouldn't be certain that it's on any kind of linear network, but I would be sure. I would guess it is streamed. It's the most dominant, women's basketball team, being the Olympics type squad, and this group's trying to participate in that. They've already, by the way, qualified for the Olympics. So this is all about a new coach in Kara Lawson and a new group of players, in addition to some that will obviously be back for the Olympic team, kind of getting their first taste together and building that continuity.
So, Scott, you know how much of a competitor Caitlin is. Do you think she's still carrying a little bit of that, I should have been here a little while ago, but now I'm here now and I have to, show you all why?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. She doesn't forget anything. No. Yeah, she's uber competitive. You get it. Absolutely. I don't think it's in a detrimental way.
No.
But I think that as she takes the court each game, I'd sit there, all right, you didn't want me. And it's not to say I need to force shots or do anything, and more of just let's channel this slight, like so many of the greats have done. And yeah, that isn't going anywhere. She's always going to remember that.
Yeah, when I think of Caitlin, and honestly, maybe I'm too online with this guy, but I thought she took a lot of criticism last year as she battled through the injuries and ultimately had to sit out the rest of the season. And it's almost a little bit of like, did you all forget that she was first team All WNBA as a rookie? And so I'm excited.
She's Peyton Pritchard, James. She's Peyton
Lord,
Pritchard, man.
I mean, I love Reggie Miller, but I don't know if Reggie's really as dialed in as you and I are, Scott, and honestly, you and Tony East more so than I. But yeah, we'll have to check in with Reggie to see if after Caitlin does her thing with Team USA, if his opinion changes.
Did you see her tweet? I'm sure Scott saw it.
Yeah.
Scott, you saw the Caitlin Clark tweet when the NBA had the highlight of Peyton Pritchard hitting a buzzer beater, and she gave a couple of wink emojis, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that's her being her kind of playful, unserious self, which is exactly who she is as like a 23-year-old. That got to her.
Oh, yes.
It's like, what? I'm sorry, what? I'm a generational player. Like, if you default to anyone, it's Steph Curry. Like, if you give no outside-the-box thinking, that's who it is. What was so odd about it, guys, was the fact that those are usually planned segments, planned talking points, meaning he had all afternoon to consider who might be that individual. I doubt he was caught off guard by the question, which then you might understand it. But it was funny to see Caitlin lean into it because I think it was Pritchard making a buzzer beater and a big shot, and she was like, yeah, sure, I do that too.
Last thing on Caitlin, too. I just find it so cool. Maybe she's hanging around because she's rehabbing, whatever. Just the fact that she's become such a part of Indianapolis, and she shows up at high school basketball games, college games, NFL games. Like, she has fully embraced Indianapolis as a place to be, and I love that. Can you shed any more light on how she views living here and being a part of this?
Yeah, this is a big reason why she was excited to go, presumably at the time, obviously, but number one, to Indiana. She's a Midwest girl. She's from 5-6 hour drive, so it's easy to be with family, friends, and they grew up very much like all of us. And in fact, she committed and thought she might go to Notre Dame. And so all along, coming to Indiana was the best case scenario for her with the draft. And then I think she's just taken off with it. Number one, she's able to use the team practice facilities, and that obviously had a big impact. She's a big sports viewer, much like Tyrese on the men's side. And so if there's some kind of competitive game, she wants to watch it and see all of that. Obviously, her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey at Butler, has a huge influence in a lot of that as well. And then just the fact that she's an avid sports fan. I mean, she's just like one of us, just living in Indianapolis and loving the Midwest.
Always good to talk to you, buddy. Thanks for getting up with us and giving us your thoughts on how things are going with the Pacers and Fever. We'll continue to call on you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Fieldhouse Files. Check him out. Scott Agnes there on the Payless Liquors hotline. And that is one thing I've just enjoyed. Like you talked about going to the Pike game the other night, and 3 rows in front of you, there's Caitlin Clark just hanging out.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a double take for me. I was like, man, am I seeing things? I get enough sleep last night, but there she was. And the reason why I was kind of caught off guard, you all, is because of the lack of fanfare. It was kind of like, oh, she's been here. And granted, I don't think anybody could just walk up to her. She was very much surrounded by the Butler, it looked like Butler coaching staff, or at least Butler and Indiana Fever employees. But beyond that, again, it wasn't like one of those things where she shows up, the entire gym stops, and we're all waiting to see autographs and pictures. Nope, it was just her checking out a very good high school basketball game. And now I'm like, okay, well, I'll probably see it a few more.
Andrew Luck was a little bit like that too, wasn't he, Kevin, where people would just see him here and there downtown walking around or at a restaurant or something like that, but people kind of leave those folks alone here in Indy.
Yeah, well, Marcus Freeman can't say the same thing about the old wrestling meet earlier this year, but
it's always Notre Dame.
I believe Andrew. I mean, am I wrong?
That situation
you're
was
not wrong.
crazy.
It was an insane situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andrew Luck, used to live downtown, right above the old Indy Star building.
Yeah.
Big old provider coffee shop guy. And
him and KB were neighbors when they worked for the Colts together. Same salaries.
I was the apartments.
Over there by the lake.
I was the apartments next to Crispus Attics right there. Campus apartments. Shout out to Mark Welsh, my roommate.
Good stuff. All right, Mark, let's check things down here in the 9 o'clock hour.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
The Indiana Pacers have hit the NBA All-Star break with a record of 15-40, and we've been talking about tanking in the NBA. There could be as many as 10 teams that are doing things here and there that may not help them win individual basketball games in hopes of improving their draft lottery odds. Pacers last night played without Pascal Siakam, Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, Ivica Zubac, and still won 115-110 over the Brooklyn Nets, James Boyd.
Not bad, right? So I guess you'll take that, and if you're Camp Jones, but if you're a fan, you're probably thinking, boy, don't get too much of a streak going here.
Pacers had 6 players in double figures, Kevin. Jarris Walker led the way with 23. Micah Potter had a nice game, 19 points, 12 rebounds. Ethan Thompson contributed to 15. Taylon Peter had 14. A lot of the young guys, including Cam Jones, who hit what would be the game-winning 3 late, they're out there trying to show they belong in the NBA. They're going to play as hard as they can.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, with these 2 wins, the Pacers have moved 2 spots lower in the lottery standings. So the odds have decreased by about 5% in getting a top 4 pick. Now, if they continue to win, those odds will start to shrink a little bit more and more. So just things to keep an eye on. All-Star break now. Pascal Siakam, of course, is an All-Star. I believe Ethan Thompson is a G League All-Star. They get sent out there as well. So out to L.A. A few lingering NBA games tonight, but off to L.A. for All-Star Weekend. Pacers next play the Wizards coming up a week from tonight.
All right, other basketball news. Team USA's Women's World Cup team going to try to qualify for the World Championships in San Juan, Puerto Rico later this spring. Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston have been named to that roster. It's the first time Caitlin is going to represent Team USA at any level.
At a senior level.
At a senior level.
She's represented quite often.
She got some gold in that closet level. Somewhere.
At the senior level.
But yeah, so they will have 5 games in Puerto Rico, like we just chatted about with Scott Agnes. So I'm very curious to see how much, obviously, she plays, how she looks, all of that. So Stephanie White, a member of Kara Lawson's staff there, and it's a star-studded group.
Real quick, I do wonder if she'll come off the bench because of how loaded they are. I get that they're a younger group going over there, but I just wonder how weird it would see. I don't know how many games Caitlin Clark's come off the bench in her career, but I would say it's maybe a possibility. I'm not so sure.
That would not surprise me. I mean, she hasn't played in a 5-on-5 game in, 8 months, 9 months?
I know, but in the build-up to that, do you earn a bigger role, bigger spot? I don't know, but I'm curious to see her just back in action because we all know she is a needle mover.
Very good USA men's Olympians have come off the bench in their time, so I don't think
Charles
that would
Barkley,
be
D-Wade.
I think Melo is just a great 6-man in Team USA history. So, yeah, probably wouldn't be the end of the world.
Tyrese Halliburton contributing to the group project last summer at the Olympics.
She'll be playing more than him.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that.
I promise you that. UConn, a winner over Butler at Hinkle last night, 80-70. Solo Ball had 24 points. Former Mr. Basketball Indiana, Braylon Mullins, had 15 points and 5 rebounds. Butler hung tough. The big news for them, another injury, Kevin. Finley Bizjack went down hard trying to brace himself on a fall, and it looked like his left wrist was really bothering. Came out of the game, only scored 5 points, but I'm sure later on today we'll find out just exactly what happened.
Yeah, it did not look good, awful. Butler's injury history has just been terrible this season, especially a point guard. Said it to lead off the show, kind of reminds me of the Fever last year, all these point guards that they are losing there. So, they had it down to 2 with about 5-6 minutes left, which was a miracle considering Bizjack and Michael Ajayi hadn't done a ton of scoring. And then UConn just an absolute haymaker. You blinked and it was a 10-0 run, and that was it.
All right, we can also tell you college basketball coming up this weekend. Purdue at Iowa Saturday, Indiana at Illinois on Sunday. James, you're all fired up and locked in for that one, right?
I am. Illinois is on, I believe, a 2-game skid right now. Indiana's been playing better basketball as of late, and as much as I love where I live, I got to roll with the school I got the degree from.
All right. We also have Olympic action later on today. Yesterday, speed skater Jordan Stolz wins gold in the 1,000 meters. Ryan Cogan-Siegel got a silver in the Super G. Ryan Cochran-Siegel, I should say. And then later on today, I'm looking forward to men's ice hockey just after 3 o'clock against Latvia. Hopefully that one will be in the bag by the end of the first period.
So I'm unfamiliar. Does Latvia have NHL players?
I think they might have one, but I'll have to go back and double check. I looked at the rosters a couple of weeks ago, but like Italy yesterday, they're playing with one fringe NHL guy, and they were tied up about almost halfway through the game with Sweden.
And
so
we're talking like flip a coin, USA, Canada? Like, is it that even, or is Canada a little bit more of a favorite?
I looked at the odds last night. My wife was asking me about it. Canada is the favorite, followed by Team USA, and then Sweden. Those are the top 3. And then there's a big drop-off after that. So we'll see that start a little bit later on today. And we got men's and women's short track speed skating to look forward to later on tonight, too. And I know you're all in on curling. There's more curling today, men's curling.
Yeah, shout out to the woman, Corey. Yeah, she won this morning. I've been loving the speed skating. And I thought I saw today there's something called the luge relay.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to see video of this.
I don't know anything about luge relay.
Like, are we literally passing a baton here on a luge? Like, what?
I just know that Mark now has 9 guys stacked up on a luge for his
Luge relay, Mark
nonsense.
Dykton. Can you provide some video of this?
I mean, I can look for it. We can go practice out in the parking lot afterwards if you want.
Well, I'm not trying to get arrested here by IMPD.
Practicing for 2030, officer. Getting ready.
Sounds like Colts have maybe a
Kevin,
new defensive
stop jittering around. Sit still.
line coach, Marion Hobby. He's got some history with Lou Anarumo coming over from Cincinnati. We'll see about the Trey Hendrickson free agency and all of that. But that was probably the biggest coaching name that the Colts have had to replace so far. It looks like they're going to have a ton of retention on their coaching staff.
I do want to mention this real quick as far as coaches. Brian Bratton, the quality control coach, one of the quality control coaches for the Colts, and have worked with the wide receivers pretty closely as well with Reggie Wayne. I think Reggie actually broke the news the other day on social media that Brian is off to Stanford to work with their players. I believe the wide receiver job there. So he'll be joining up with
Andrew Luck call.
Yeah, maybe Andrew Luck poaching from the Colts.
All right,
get your own staff.
Anything else you guys want to throw in before we head to break?
Yeah, I thought it was cool to see next year Purdue looks like they're going to open up with Gonzaga on the college basketball front. It'll be part of a game out, I think it's out in Vegas. UCLA and Arizona would be the opposite game. I think they're just singular games. I don't think it's like a 4-team bracket there, but Purdue has always challenged themselves in the non-conference. I think college basketball needs to do a better job of the start of the season, trying to build that up. And one lingering thing for Purdue, obviously, people only care about the rest of this season and trying to get back here to Lucas Oil Stadium for the Final Four. But I do think there is a question of if Oscar Clough could get a 6th year, which would be big, certainly, literally and figuratively for Purdue when you consider the eligibility running out for Trey Kaufman-Renn, Braden Smith, and Fletcher Lawyer. So that would be something to keep an eye on here for Purdue.
I have to go look up what I saw the other day. Some player that I'd never heard of was petitioning for a 9th year, because of all kinds of injuries and COVID and transfer and things like that. It was crazy. Can you imagine?
Just hang it up, brother.
It's time. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll talk more about some of the crazy stories going on in sports. We have a championship to award a little bit later on today, towards the end of the show. Lots of good stuff. We'll check in on the text line next as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
She makes me think of lightning and skies.
Good morning as we head down the last 30 minutes of the program here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. We've got a little championship announcement coming up in about 15 minutes or so. In the meantime, gentlemen, yesterday we were talking about the Norwegian Olympic athlete who, in one of his post-event press conferences after winning a medal, broke down and said he can't think of anything else but just that he cheated on his girlfriend and he wants her back and that's all he's concerned with right now. And we talked about that and how crazy it is. The girlfriend responded yesterday. Did you see this, James Boyd?
I saw this and I kept scrolling, but indulge me.
Sturla Ligrid's ex-girlfriend responds after he publicly admitted to cheating on her. She said, quote, "It's hard to forgive even after a declaration of love in front of the whole world. I did not choose to end up in this situation. It hurts to have to be in it. We have been in contact." And she left it pretty much open. He is aware of my views on this.
Well, to wrap this up, he's a moron. She's right. And yeah, I don't know why he would even admit to something on that stage like that. No sympathy for him because accidents happen, but not in that manner. He gave me the birds and bees talk yesterday, so I don't think it's as simple as he's making it seem.
Well, there could be some accidents in that situation.
Well, didn't we hear some Jeff audio a little bit earlier about maybe?
Oh, Kevin. Why there?
The cheating interaction.
Why there?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just, you said it, not me.
Kevin, I'll get you excited here. No, Daddy. No, Daddy. Now,
Man.
Clear edit in between those two things, Mark
I don't know.
Dykton.
Sound pretty smooth to me.
That was a clear edit.
Mark, I know you wanted to get into this today, but I think you got some questions for us?
Always and forever.
I appreciate that, brother.
He's got questions.
How about a game?
They've got answers.
Hey, I'm more of a cornhole man myself.
Sports, music, movies.
What?
High fashion.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
And everything in between.
You ever seen a foot with 4 toes?
It's time to get a glimpse into the mind of Mark Dykton.
Stop it, you're scaring me.
It's time for I Gotta Know.
Okay, you two punks, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
All right, boys. So we're talking Olympics. We might as well stay there. Winter Olympic sport, if I gave you 4 years to train for, that in the 2030 Olympics you think you could qualify for?
Well, I'm not qualifying for anything.
What
in
would be
just
the
4
easiest?
years? But
That would be like, I'm taking that on. I think I have a chance.
I'll probably roll with curling because it's the safest of the winter sports. Because anything that involves skiing, snowboarding, I'm gonna be in the hospital for a very long time.
I feel like curling's the easy answer, but I am kind of fascinated by the luge, skeleton, bobsled angle to it. Now, I think there's different body types for all three. Like bobsled, I think there is like a track element to it. There is obviously a strength element to it, pushing the sled, there at the start. But, and I don't know, maybe that's a cool runnings in me coming out. But yeah, I mean, it is probably curling.
I mean, I'm taking the bobsled only because there's 3 other guys. I'm like, I could be the weak link, and I think I'd still be all right.
Mark, I'm going to be 872 in 2030. What would you like me to compete in?
There's got to be some geriatric
I'll jump on
Olympics or something.
I'll jump on a luge.
Oh boy, you better update the life insurance, I would say.
Well, I mean, I got used to going downhill fast on a bike all those years ago. I don't mind speed. Try that.
Okay. All right. We've seen the Hall of Fame votes not going in favor of Reggie Wayne, and we've seen Anna Vinatieri is going to go in 2026. Who is the next Colts player that will get the Canton invite? Is it Wayne or someone else?
That's a good question. Is Robert Mathis in?
Yeah, I would say it'll be Frank Gore. I get that he only played here for a couple of years, but if I'm not mistaken, I think we had Mike Chappell on last week. He said that Gore got to the top 10, and I just think running back resumes will age better than wide receiver resumes, given with how the nature of the NFL is played. So, yeah, Mark, I would say Frank Gore. If you want to go with traditional Colt, we probably don't think of Gore like that, then
I'm probably going Mathis myself.
Now, Mathis didn't make the final 15, right?
I don't believe so, but looking at his resume,
I think he has a deserving case more than most, but I feel like it's got to be Wayne, right?
yeah, but I guess I was just trying to be a little different from the crowd.
Yeah. Frank Gore is number 3 all-time career rushing yards in the National Football League. I know he played for a million years, but so well respected around the league and putting up those kind of numbers. I mean, the only two in front of him are Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton.
See, I think playing for the million years at that position is a compliment.
I do too.
Like, people view it negatively, like Frank Gore didn't have the star-studded years.
He was never a top 3 at his position. Who cares?
To me, longevity at running back is incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, what did he overcome an ACL in college and then maybe 2 ACLs in college or an ACL early in his NFL career as well.
I'll also point out that Emmitt Smith, who's on top, averaged 4.2 yards a carry. Walter Payton was second with 4.4 yards per carry. Frank Gore, 4.3 yards per carry. That's pretty good. You'd take that for 15 years, wouldn't you? 4.3?
For sure.
Yeah.
Are we hear around the league about teams like the Seahawks and Rams willing to make the tough decisions for the greater good and reaping the benefits of being well-run organizations from the top on down? Do you think the Colts are viewed in league circles like that as far as optics is concerned?
Kevin, you've been around that team for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think league-wide, I think they're viewed in a fine light. I think at times there's maybe a little bit of a misconception on like the Chris Ballard resume league-wide. I don't know, maybe you start to hear more of the chatter of like, really? He's getting a 10th crack at it? Here in our own little bubble, I go back to, we had a listener reach out about the Zubats trade last week, and, there are some questions about the trade. Obviously, we've gotten into the pick debate and all of that, and the listener simply just said, unlike the Colts, the Pacers have earned my trust when it comes to these moves. And I think that pretty much sums it up quite well. I mean, if you look at the Kevin Pritchard, it's not like Pritchard's hit on a bunch of first-round picks, but yet he's built a championship team without a lot of that.
I would say I would agree with Kevin on that one. I mean, it's hard for me to look at the Colts in any other light, quite frankly.
Like, I don't think they're this massive league-wide dysfunction.
Yeah.
It's not like they have a ton of off-the-field issues.
I just think the luster's gone. Like,
they're honestly, they're probably just an afterthought.
Yeah, the juju and the shimmer.
Mm-hmm.
No longer there.
Do you think it's a bit, but like when they, if you polled an NFL fan outside of like Indianapolis and all that stuff, like you're like, what do you know about the Colts? Don't you think they'd say hiring Jeff Saturday and bringing Phillip Rivers out of retirement? We're kind of like, no other franchise is doing that.
Yeah, I do think there is. For the general NFL fan, the headlining moves would be clownish.
By the way, when she said Shimmer, Carly Ursay-Gordon in the press conference, and she said Juju first and then Shimmer, I thought Juju Brents had changed his last name.
Juju Shimmer.
I swear, that was my first thought.
I told her unequivocally, I have not lost my shimmer, juju, or confidence, or whatever you want to say it is.
I got to pull that out more.
Yeah, I think that you hit
Let's say that on Valentine's Day to Maddie.
You still have your juju. I still tell Mrs. Rickard she's the most beautiful woman I've ever met every day. Every single day.
I need to take some notes from the boss man here.
Well, I make plenty of missteps too, believe me. Mark, I think that Kevin said a
Don't be
moment
like
ago.
the Olympian.
I think in league circles they're kind of like an afterthought. I don't think anybody thinks that they're terrible, but I don't think anybody thinks they're any close to elite either. They're a legit NFL football team, and that's about it.
I tend to agree. All right, let's put the sports discussion to the side. Your current biggest pet peeve is what? If you want to simmer on that for a minute. My biggest one is the people that feel the need to back into every parking spot that ever existed. Like, can you get the hell out of the way?
You're
Just
a
let me
hater.
get past you. Like, it's not like you're turning on your blinker. They go past, you're like, oh, this spot's for me. And then they start backing in, like, just pull in like a normal human. Who are you trying to impress? Everybody's got rear view cameras now. It's not impressive, bud.
What a hater.
Wow.
Let me get to my errands done.
Those extra 5 seconds are going to destroy your day?
It's not, these guys that think they can back in and then they do 18-point turns and everything like that. I'm like,
You're
get out
just
of
not
here.
a very good parallel parker, it sounds like. You should listen to my father, a former Traverse Ed teacher.
Maybe you should get him a session.
I'll go ahead.
No,
Kev. Okay, so my biggest pet peeve, to keep it sports related, would probably be at these high school games when people just harass the refs. Because I promise you, I would never ref your kids. Like I don't think people realize, and there's probably a bunch of stats on it. I'm sure Kyle Neddenrips did a story on it. I have as well years ago. But the amount of refs who continue to get older, but they're not being replenished, is largely due to the harassment they get from these parents and people at games. And so I don't want to like be dramatic like the world is ending, but if I look up in 20 years and these big Friday night games are not being played on Friday nights anymore because we don't have enough refs, that's your fault. Like, calm down. And the last thought I'll have on this is, of all the players I've seen play this year at the high school level, is it wrong for me to say none of them are going to the NBA? I mean, some of them might, possibly, but they're not locks. So enjoy this, because for 99.9% of you, all your kids are going to get is this and maybe a couple years in college. So I think the delusion is crazy. I'll leave it at that.
Boy, I nodding my head at all that, James Boyd. I don't know. When the snow starts to melt, obviously it has to melt to go somewhere. Science experiment here. But I hate the slushy, dirty nature that just is everywhere right now. I feel like I'm just stepping in you-know-what. Bunch of Max Bowen number 2s I'm stepping in right now.
Max taking us straight there.
No, he's good. He's in school.
All right.
He's fine.
Mark, I'm going to go back to the parking lot. This has always annoyed me. The people who will circle the different aisles in parking lots for 5 minutes to get a spot that's 2 spots closer than the one they could originally got. I don't understand that. It's an extra 10 feet to walk.
You and Mark got some parking lot issues here.
No, I just don't understand why people will circle and circle and circle to get 15 feet closer to the building.
The other one is the people that clearly see you're waiting for a parking spot that they're getting into, and they just sit in their car for minutes on end. Like, I'm here. Back out, dude.
Beat you
what
to
we
it.
doing?
Gun right in that spot, baby. I
Mark
don't
wants
see your
to
turn
back
signal.
in. Have you ever backed into a spot?
I think I have. I think I have, but I also made sure I had no one waiting for me to do it.
Fair enough. Mark, I think you're a hater on that one, but hey, we all got to hate something in
I
this
got to
life.
back in. I got to put my grocery. Get the hell out of my way.
I would say one real quick one that bothers me. Whenever I go home to watch stuff with my family, they don't like subtitles. And I hate that.
Oh, really? I'm not a subtitle person.
I'm a subtitle guy, mainly because if we're watching something and someone has like an accent, like for example, if you're watching Game of Thrones, I don't always pick up like on every little word that's said or something like that. And my dad in particular, he don't care. He just wants to see who gets, beat up or dies or whatever. And he'll get the gist of the story that way. But I'm like, can we please put on the subtitles?
Mark, are you going middle finger at people from behind the wheel?
Oh, I have before.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you in any road rage incidents, Mister.
Look, it is wild. There's probably been, I've been driving for 20 years. I would say I've thrown up the middle finger maybe 2 or 3 times, and every time it was met with, "Oh, this person's ready to, what? Like they're ready to, like, road rage." And I'm like, "Damn, I was just throwing up the middle finger and then gonna go my way." But like. And of course, at that point, then I'm like, all right, I'll probably should go 55 in the right lane here for a couple miles or two.
I'm a calm driver. I do not.
I mean,
really
20
get that
years
upset.
a long time.
I've got 2 that just started driving within the last 6 months, and I've told them over and over and over, too many crazy people out there. They could be carrying guns. Just go about your way, man. If anything happens, sorry, go about your way. I don't want you getting involved.
Well, don't nobody want to be around your kids driving. They got to get a little more experience on the road.
No, you're not.
Put the sticker on the back so I know to get around or get away from them.
Youngest looks like he's been driving for a while.
I'm not waiting for the youngest to back into the parking spot.
Grant's a good driver,
I feel
actually.
like I'm seeing more and more of those stickers. Like the
I have
student
2.
driver stickers. I'm like, is this now just
you,
like a
you
cool
are
thing?
way older than a student, sir.
It's like Jake Query going back to, IU Kokomo.
My
there
dad hated those stickers. He would never put it on his car.
All right, we are handing out some hardware. Coming up next, the champion of the Fan Morning Show Fantasy Football League will be unveiled with hardware to be handed out. That's next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show. James Boyd, do you remember a week or two before the beginning of the regular season, way back when, the Fan Morning Show had a fantasy football league draft, and we invited listeners, and we qualified listeners, and we got a draft going, and we had a whole league, and as is the case through the ups and downs and injuries of a season, all of us were doing well, then maybe not so well, but we finally crowned a champion. We were going to talk about our champion last week before the Super Bowl, then all these kinds of trades happened, and everything kept going on there. But Mark Decton, I believe we now welcome in the champion of the inaugural Fan Morning Show Fantasy Football League this morning. Do we not? Katie from the Crockett Gators, how are you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys?
You whooped all of us, man. Good job out of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So, real quickly, what was the difference in terms of personnel? There's always got to be a surprise or two, somebody you're banking on. What was the key to your fantasy football victory here in our inaugural league?
Man, well, I think, a lot of the time, it's like the weeks you lose, it was bad luck. It just, things didn't turn out. And then when you win, it was just genius, right? And so I'd say my genius move was getting traded Christian McCaffrey in the middle of the season. I thought it was a joke at first. It was like, is he, the guy trading me, is he trying to trip me up? But I traded away Malik Neighbors, and it worked out pretty well.
Were you in any other leagues?
Why don't these people offer these trades to me here?
What happened there?
Man, Katie's like, Katie, you had A.J. Barner on your team? Man, if this was a fantasy league in the Super Bowl, you'd be reaping the benefits from it.
It's true. It's true. I mean, it'd be different if we went that long all the way through the season, but I had Jackson Smith and Jigma too, so that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal.
How much trash did you talk? That's all I want to know. Like, are you talking trash on a weekly basis? Are you humble in your victory?
James, I talk trash to anyone.
Let's go.
I use the app, right? Nobody responds.
That's all right. That's all right. You just keep talking. Let them know. They hear you.
So Katie is invited
right.
back.
And then when I lose, I turn off my phone. So
Katie's invited back, Jeff, next year, because if she's talking,
she's
talking,
right
well,
back.
You know what? Then we all got to be.
No, she's exactly right back. Did you have any other leagues going on this year?
I had one. It was not nearly as good. This was my champion league. So
we only talk about victories around here. So you've earned it.
She beat me by 41 points in our regular season matchup.
She was terrific. Well, congratulations. We have for you a championship ring that you can wear, just like a Super Bowl ring. How about that?
I will wear it. I will wear it every day.
It designates you as the Fantasy Football League champion, and you have it, and you are certainly the first person invited back to our league next year. Congratulations on beating all of us.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, have a great
Congrats,
day.
Katie.
We'll
Thanks
talk
for
to
listening.
you soon. There you go. Thought we'd put a big bow on that because people, we kept up with it a little bit throughout the course of the year. And then we got crazy busy with Indiana making a national championship run and then all the Pacers trades and things like that. But want to make sure Katie got her due. So we were there to do that. So congratulations to her. All right, I want to thank Scott Agnes and Joel A. Erickson for stopping by today. That's always fun. Any final parting thoughts from you today, Kevin Bowen?
We'll see a picture of this ring.
I'll show it to you.
I'm very curious about this as well.
Man,
Yeah.
you said if it's Super Bowl like, Katie might have to metal detector it, over to the side when she goes into some sporting events.
It may be more cubic zirconia than diamonds, but it's a good-looking ring. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. We'll talk to you soon.